Yeah,
It's so much fun to catch me doing bad things. Thanks,
it
Naomi.
is because you're hilarious.
Am I? You're the one who wants a skin journal.
Well, you know.
A skin journal. Interesting. Is it a specific skin of someone?
No,
That's
it
to be
doesn't even matter.
determined. That's irrelevant. Oh God. All
I
right.
am
Sorry.
psyched. I'm psyched.
psyched.
I'm very happy that you are on. We can't wait to chat with you. We both finished the book this week and
Yes,
Uh,
we're
loved
very
it.
excited. We absolutely loved it. It was really, really good.
I have to say up front, to be completely honest, this is my first like official interview.
oh my
Live,
goodness.
and I'm not making this up. My partner can very much attest to this story. All of my life, I've like been in the shower, or I'll just be like walking by myself outside, and I will literally interview myself like I was on Ellen or Oprah. I've been waiting for this day my whole life. So you two you're better than Ellen.
Oh
You're
my
better than
goodness.
we're
Here we are.
happy
That
to
is
be
so
your
great.
first. We love
That
it.
is wonderful.
I may burst into tears a couple times, but
That's
beyond
fine.
that, I should be okay.
It's fine. Tears are allowed. Emotions are good. Means you're
And
human.
you deserve it. Your baby is going to be birthed when March or April 2022.
Yeah, March
March,
1st.
right?
Yeah,
March
Labor
1st.
Day. Delivery day is coming.
It's coming.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah. Oh, that's so awesome.
It's so exciting. All
It's,
right.
it's like the most exciting thing in my life, but also the most scary thing I've ever done.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's just beyond frightening. I always say, I don't know if you guys ever watched the show Californication.
Yes, David Duchovny. Yes.
Yeah.
Naomi's the TV person, not me, so she will.
Okay, I
she'll
love
be
it.
there.
There's a scene. It's about a writer, and he has a daughter, and when she's out of college, she comes to him and says, "Dad, I wrote a book. I want to be a writer," and he goes, "Why the f would you want to do that? No one wants to be a writer. Don't do it." So,
It's hard. It's hard.
It is hard, but I think you got something great here. So,
thank
or
you.
I mean, it made us
Or
have all kinds of feels. So we're
all
really
kind
excited.
of feels. We have
Yeah.
favorites.
We do have
Oh.
favorites.
I'm very
We,
interested
yeah,
to
we,
hear
we,
that.
we have
We're,
favorites.
we're
Yeah.
favorites.
I also love your headphones, Alyssa.
Oh, thank you.
Aren't they so cute?
They are.
She's a little kitten.
They look like one of my favorite video game characters, Diva from the game Overwatch. That may be too nerdy for you guys, but people out there who play the game will know.
They'll know. Jesus
No.
would know. My boyfriend would know.
Okay.
I've heard of Overwatch. I just don't play the video
Yeah, I'm a
games.
massive Diva fan. She's
It's-
amazing.
Thank you. I'm 38 going on 12, so it's fine.
I have
Just going in
pops-
reverse.
I have pops up there. Trust me. My whole downstairs is just covered with statues and figurines and comic book boxes. It's pretty bad. So.
Nothing wrong with that.
All
Nothing
the
wrong with that.
fun stuff. Also, I'm dying to know what's on your shelves. I just
Naomi wants to
This-
dive right into what's behind you.
This is like
Move
this is-
over. What's
this
on
is-
your bookshelf?
This is nothing. This is like my YA books, pretty
Mhm.
much. But downstairs, that's where all my big bookshelves are, and I have all of my like first editions, all of my classic stuff. I have full rows of just all my favorite female authors, all my favorite black authors. I have it very specifically in detail, where
Oh,
everything's in
wow.
order.
I
So,
feel like we
can
need a
find it.
bookshelf tour.
yeah.
Oh, I would love to give you guys one.
Yeah.
I'll take my phone down. I can show you guys.
That would actually be a really great blog post for our website. You just sharing what's on your shelves and how you have your shelves organized. Everyone's always trying to figure out, how should I organize my shelves? And mine is just a melting pot of whatever. Like some shelves are organized by, I have a black author shelf. I have a whole set of bookcases just for horror and mystery. I've got a translated fiction shelf. But then there's other shelves where it's just like, well, you kind of go together. So I'll just put
Right,
you
right.
together. Organized from A to Z. It's like partially organized and then like partial mass chaos.
Yeah.
I only have my fiction organized and it's alphabetical because I can't think of anything else. There's no like this. My brain won't No. But then the problem is when I'm looking for something, most of the time I just know the title and then I can't figure out what the author is. So I just stand there staring at the wall until it pops out somewhere. I'm like, okay,
I mean, some
where
of
are
these
you?
Instagrammers have like color coordinated, and it looks so beautiful. It looks like a painting.
Oh, let me
But I
tell
would
you
never
why I
find
don't like
anything.
that. Here's
I
why I
would
don't
never
like the
find
quarter
it.
coordinated.
No,
I don't
okay.
like
Well,
series when they're not together. I
Mm-hmm.
need my series to be together. So if there are different colors and you're doing color coordinated shells, they won't be
yeah,
together.
they're not together.
That's
I
a
like
little
that.
annoying to the Capricorn in me. And I like the same authors together, which is
Mm-hmm.
tricky
I do too.
because I have one author who writes like contemporary, but he also writes mystery. So now I've got like a contemporary in the mystery bookcase, but I need my authors together. So you see, it's never
Just
a
do it
perfect.
Yeah.
alphabetical.
No,
But then my
I'm
genres are
with
all
you.
mixed up.
Yeah, I'm with you, Naomi, on that one. They got to be together, you know.
Yeah,
And
they
the
don't want to be separated.
I don't. All of my fantasy are basically in boxes because I don't even have that section of the book. My book nook is a work in progress. It is. It is quite the project.
Yeah.
Because every time I get something done, I have to pay the bill off for having it done.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when you're a book, not just a reader, but when you also love buying and
Yeah.
owning books,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're your space, right? Because
Yeah.
just when you've got it right, you buy another set of books, and now you got
Mm-hmm.
to figure out where those go.
Mm-hmm.
It's never ending.
It isn't.
I
Good
know.
problem to have, but it's
And,
never ending.
and I have multiple editions of my favorite books.
Same.
Like,
We were just talking about that the other day.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I have about 4 editions of John Green's Fault in Our Stars. That's like my favorite YA book.
Really?
It just hits me the right way. Like John is just he's on another
I've
level with this
still
thing.
never. I've still never read John Green.
You
I
haven't
haven't
read
I
it
either.
have
yet?
so many.
Oh
I
my
have
god.
so many, but I've never. I have to get to
Looking for
them. I collected
Alaska.
them all, but I
Looking for
just
Alaska.
haven't.
That's really where it's at, man. That's so good.
Really?
But
I was
I
I
used
was
to
trolling your IG, and I did see you have a lovely post about looking for Alaska.
yeah I mean I just
I knew I was gonna have
he
to share
is
my secret.
he is my favorite contemporary author. Like everything he does, it kind of got me into finding my voice, which is in the young
Oh.
adult, genre.
Mhm.
And without him, I would never have found that voice.
Oh,
Because
that's
before
amazing.
I was writing things that just I was just trying to do things that just weren't me, and
Mhm.
you could hear it in the
Yeah.
words. And then once I read like Fault in Our Stars, it's like, oh my god, yes, this is how I want to. This is how I talk. This is how I think. This is how I see characters. How I see story, and it just opened up the floodgates from there. But I actually went to bed, and again, my partner can attest to this. I would go to bed cuddling that book,
Oh my
and
Aw.
it's
gosh.
so like brittle now, and just like the pages are. I have highlighted my favorite like sections, and I memorized like pretty much that whole book. I can probably say it verbatim at this point. But
That's incredible.
That's wonderful.
yeah,
I love that.
Wow. Well, I guess we're going to officially get started. So
Good.
we're back, folks. We're back. We are here
Hello.
with an amazing person, Charles A. Bush, who is the author of an upcoming debut titled Every Variable of Us. And we are beyond thrilled to have him on the show today. So,
Yes,
hello.
we are.
hello,
Hello.
ladies, and thank you so much for having me. This is the biggest pleasure and the biggest honor. I can't thank you enough. I'm gushing. I'm going to be rambling a lot, so I apologize to the listeners. To
We
you
are
both.
tangent queens. You are good. Go.
But I mean, it also feels like I already know you guys, so I'm not as nervous as I would be because I listen to you
Yes.
guys every week anyway. So it's almost like you're in my car with me when I'm driving.
Oh, we love
So
that
it's
so
like, you know,
much.
So yeah.
We love it. Don't mind. I'm sorry. I need to refresh my seltzer.
We love that. So we're really honored to be able to have read your book ahead of time, and I'm just gonna say right now that I really loved it, and
Absolutely adored it.
I'm not really a YA reader. I
She's not.
right. I like some YA. I have not figured
Yeah,
out
you
what
like
type of
cowboy romance erotica. That's what you like, right?
what. Well, unless
She
this is
doesn't
the
really-
list.
Westerns.
That's my fault. So she doesn't really do the erotica. I just when she told me about like her lonesome dove like obsession, my brain goes immediately to cowboy erotica. So
Okay.
I just feel like Naomi needs sexy cowboys in her life. And so occasionally I just send her like TikToks of sexy cowboys because she needs a good sexy cowboy.
And I do like it. Also, I'm here
Who
to take
doesn't need
any
one?
recommendations on cowboy erotica. Thank you. But yes, I'm in love with Lonesome Dove. I just love that book a great deal. So I don't know what it is about YA that gets me and doesn't get me, but yours got me. So
Yeah.
Oh, good.
in love, I really adored it.
That's
Yeah,
good. Otherwise,
we
this would have been
both-
an awkward interview. if you-
Yes. We both read an entire book on our Kindles, which we don't do. So especially for Naomi. So that says a lot.
Yeah, because I don't do ebooks. Not that I don't want to. It is very hard for me to get into ebooks because I like
Yeah,
to,
I agree.
mark my books and annotate them. And I don't know how you Kindle people do it. I mean, there is a highlighting and a note function, but it is not pleasant, people.
It's not the same.
It's not the
It's
same.
not
It's
the
not.
same.
It's not.
But I tell you what, I couldn't wait to get back to it. I
Yeah.
couldn't wait to get back to it.
yeah.
So yeah.
I'm with you 100%. I have to. I'm always thinking. I have a big imagination, so I'm always like, one day I'm going to pass all my books down to my kids, and they're going to read the margins, and it's going to spark them to think like how I thought, and they're going to want to write or do this. None of that's probably going to happen. My kids are probably not even going to want to read books, and they're probably not even going to
You
care
don't
about
know.
writing.
You
No,
never
you
know.
never know, but if they don't, that's fine too. But that's why
never
I
know.
want that tangible book in my hand, so I can feel it, and also, as we've already said, sleep with it because I'm weird.
Yeah. I am not weirded out by that whatsoever.
not weird at
I
all.
mean,
Not at all.
I was cuddling
I mean-
the hell out of that thing. I was all up in there,
I mean,
just loving
That's
it.
my bed, and it's just
Holding
filled
it.
with books right now. So,
There you go. Yeah.
because that's where I was most of today.
I think he loves John Green like I love Sherlock Holmes.
I think he
I love me
does.
some Sherlock Holmes.
Naomi
now
has
that's so
a
many
small-
editions.
A small obsession of Sherlock
Just-
Sherlock Holmes.
Just a tiny one.
So who's the best Sherlock on TV?
Oh,
There's
what's
only one
his
right-
name?
There's only one right answer to this, by the way. I'm just wanna make sure you-
Oh God, what's his name? It was the one that's on BBC. What is his name? The guy that played in that show called Melrose.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes,
Going
him.
Benedict
Also
Cumberbatch?
Doctor Strange.
Yes, that guy.
Yes.
I just think that
He's amazing.
he's nailed it. He's
He's
nailed
very
it.
good. Sherlock's
Yeah.
so good. That's one of the few shows I watch and I've watched on repeat. When I do watch
Yes.
something, I tend to
Really
watch
good.
it over and over and over again.
I'll be the
Yes.
same.
Yeah.
I think I've seen every episode of Gilmore Girls at least 20 times.
Don't even get us.
Ooh.
Don't even listen. You Gilmore Girls,
I've never
perfection.
Oh my god. I'm
Naomi, I've never
Why did you
watched it.
tell him this? You've just
Okay.
broken a heart, I'm sure.
It's people come to me all the time. In fact,
I have confessions. These are my deep, dark confessions. I've never watched Gilmore Girls.
you'll be hooked. Just watch one episode and it's over. If you just flow right through it.
When that show first debuted, I was like, I want to live in a town like this. I just fell in
Right.
love immediately. I was like, I want to live in a town like that.
I
She just
didn't-
will. You got to watch it.
you really do.
But then I can't read if I do that.
I read and watch
I read,
TV
yeah, I
all
just-
the
I don't
time.
read and watch TV. You are an insane person. We discussed this already. You have more hours in the day than Beyonce. I don't know where you find them, but you have them. Look at
One episode a day. One episode a day. That's all you need.
That's what you say, and that's what I was lived by originally when I first got into it.
Don't tell her that, Charles.
I know they
That's
don't
the
like it.
trick. Just tell her one episode a day, and then she's just, she's hooked.
Perhaps in 2022, I will go down the Gilmore Girls rabbit hole.
I don't know why you wouldn't. I don't know why you
Yeah,
wouldn't.
exactly.
It is total goodness and joy for your soul.
Yes.
Everything about that show is a warm hug. Seriously.
Doubt it. I'm just TV and me. I get distracted and then I don't finish ever.
Fair enough.
One episode a day. One episode a day.
She's gonna like call me every day and be like, Did
I
you-"
will. I would also watch with you again. And I've already done 2 rewatches of the entire seasons.
Is it
this
on
year.
Netflix? Is that
Oh,
what it's
yeah.
on?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I own the whole. Do you own the like the box set of the
I
complete collection?
don't. Do
Oh, it's
you?
so
You
cool.
do?
Yeah, and it has a thing called Gilmore Isms in it. so you can pull it out and you can follow along with each episode, and it has like
Wait
the
a
references and
minute.
all the things they make because they make a lot of references on the show, and a lot of them go over my head because some of them are older, but
What?
it's really cool. You can follow along, and they have every reference there, so you don't have to look it up.
It has a Gilmore Isms
Yeah.
booklet?
I mean,
I didn't know that.
that's how I read like Rory's list, her reading list, because
I know
my
her reading
brother and
list is
I,
somewhere out there. Yeah.
my brother and I would watch the show, and my youngest brother, he's 21 now, but when we started watching, he was about like 16, and he was in love with it like me, and we were watching it, and every time she had a book in her hand, we would pause it, and I would look the book up, put it in
Oh
my reading list,
man.
and go read it, and that's how we just went through all of her books. So then when the
Oh,
list came out, I was like,
that's
oh, I
incredible.
did that.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah, because now everybody wants to do it, right? There
Right.
has been this resurgence of watching the Gilmore Girls, and I guess it's because us old people keep talking about it, and the young people are like,
Us old
"Oh,
people.
what's this thing the old people keep talking about? Oh, let's check it out. We heard there's a reader on there." So yeah, everyone wants to read the Rory Gilmore reading list. Yeah.
Oh,
And
and
I
if
was
that's
Rory.
if that's the case, can we bring back like 90210? Because that I will rewatch.
I don't know anything
Oh,
about
oh
that.
yeah, they remade that, right?
I don't want to
They
remake
did.
it. I want to rewatch it.
Oh, that's on
Who
Hulu, I
wants-
believe. I don't
Is it?
know. I
I think
started
they
watching
did
it
bring it
last
back.
year.
They did bring it back.
Well, they try to bring back all the good things.
That's true,
Gossip
yeah.
Girl, that was a disaster. Stop
Oh my
doing
god,
this, Hollywood.
Gossip Girl
Stop
was
it.
so bad. I was so disappointed in that.
Why would you want to recreate perfection?
I don't know.
I love Gossip Girl for what it is, but I don't know if I would
You
call
have to love it
perfection.
for what you have. It is perfection. It is perfection of trash, and I love it.
Yes, there
I
you go. I
love
agree
it.
with that. Okay, I'll go with that.
Now, I'm gonna state this next thing so that everyone knows how I feel. If Hollywood is in a room right now having a meeting about remaking the Gilmore Girls, I'm gonna punch somebody in the
No, they're
face,
not
and I
doing
mean
that.
it.
Amy would
The
never
Golden
allow that.
Girls. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna
Amy would never
roll to
allow
that
that.
studio and we're gonna have a conversation. Don't you do
Yeah.
it, Hollywood.
I think it's too soon.
Well, they just did the revival in 17, 16,
How is it too
17?
soon? They just redid the Gossip Girl.
Yeah, no, that was.
That's a baby show.
They're not
They
gonna redo
redid
it.
Dallas and
Amy
Dynasty.
Amy said she came back for that revival, ended the way she wanted to end it, because she wasn't there for the seventh season. This turned into like a Gilmore Girls podcast, which I
I
love.
know.
by the way.
We,
I'm all
we
for it.
love it. We
I'm
love
all
it.
for
Because you wrote a book.
Right.
Well, let's jump into it. Tell us, who is Charles A. Bush? What has been your journey? Where are you from? Where are you living now? What's your story?
What is my story? Wow.
We'll be
Well,
Charles.
I was born in Houston, Texas.
Oh,
But my mom, my dad, like most people, they split up when I was really young. So my mom's from Philly. She came back here, and then I ended up with her. So I grew up in Philadelphia. My whole life, my dad put the basketball in my hand when I was 2 years old. So I always had a basketball by my hand. And then even when I was in fifth grade, I started liking this thing called writing. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I
in
used to
fifth
actually,
grade.
in fifth grade, I used to write my own. I would write a magazine, and I would write like fake interviews and all this kind of stuff, and I would staple it on paper, and then I would reprint it, like rewrite it out, and then sell it to people in class for a quarter. So
I
like,
love
the new
it.
issue's out this week, everyone. You want to get your copy, And I used to have to. I would actually draw ads in there, which was so stupid.
Oh.
You know.
It's not
I
stupid. That's
can't draw. I
wonderful.
can't draw.
I love it.
Wait a minute,
But,
Charles. Are you and I twins?
We might
Did you do this?
I did do it, but not because I wanted to be a writer. I thought I was going to run a big time magazine when I was little, and I would
Oh, that's right, you were
I would
obsessed
design magazine issues and give them out.
See, maybe we are. I think we are.
Look at you
I'm,
two.
I'm,
You
Continue.
were
I'm the
meant,
only reincarnated,
meant to be.
Yeah, so I did that, and then it came to the point, I'll never forget this, it was 97, I believe, that Romeo and Juliet, Baz Luhrmann's, Leonardo DiCaprio, Claire Danes came out. And my cousin, who's actually a character in the book's based off of him, we'll get to that later, I'm sure. But me and him were at his house for New Year's, and my mom and his mom, she's my godmother, they both went out to go party and go, live it up on New Year's Eve. Left me there with my friend or my cousin and my I call her my grandmother. She's not, it's my cousin's grandmother, but she's been so close to me. She helped me through this literary journey. She just passed away last year.
Oh, so sorry
I'm so
about that.
sorry.
Thank you. But she was amazing, and she always championed me with like storytelling. And I used to go into her room and she'd be watching the BBC. I didn't know what the BBC was when I was like 9. These people were talking with weird accents. What the hell's going on? But she's like, oh yeah, so this character. She loved mysteries, so she's like, this character did this, and she was all about Agatha Christie and all that kind of stuff.
This
So
was my
she
childhood.
really brought me into all of that, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is
With
really...
Diana Rigg or whatever her name was on PBS.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What's the masterpiece music? The dun, 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 dun,
Yes!
Yes.
I used to hear that all the time. But
Yeah.
so we left this with her. Now, as much as I love her, and I just sung her praises. She wasn't the best babysitter because she was how do I put this kindly, old. So she fell asleep at like 8 o'clock, and my cousin and I stole a bottle of wine from downstairs. And you gotta remember, we're like 9 years old at this point. We down the whole bottle of wine. We get super plastered, and he falls asleep. I'm watching on HBO because we had like illegal cable. I don't know if I could say that out loud without getting arrested.
They're not coming for you now.
We did. So we were watching that on HBO, and I thought it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. This Romeo and Juliet, this story of romance, and betrayal, and just lust and all this stuff. I'm like, oh my God, where has this been all my life? I want to write stories like this that impact people. And I was bawling my eyes out at the end. 9 years old me was crying.
Drunk as a skunk.
Right.
Watching Baz Luhrmann.
Oh my God, I was so done. I was so done. I can't believe I can't even remember that. I was probably in blackout. I was so drunk. I mean, my little body. I'm tiny now. I'm like 5'7". Imagine how tiny I was then. Drinking a whole bottle of wine. Not good.
Aww.
But yeah, I watched that, and that just something clicked. I'm like, I gotta do this. I want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to write stories that affect people like this, that make them cry, that make them cheer, that make them laugh, that gives them all the emotion. So that kind of like put me on that path from that early on.
Wow.
And then the rest was just kind of honing that and just seeing what I liked, what worked, what didn't work, reading people I loved, and then eventually I found John Green, and kind of the rest is history in my writing journey anyways.
I love it.
I was
it so
amazed
much.
when people at such a young age come across something that just sparks them in such a way that they just say to themselves, this is what I'm meant to do. I think that's incredible.
I do say all that because a part of the book, as you know, is about basketball. And that's a big part of my life as well because I grew up doing it. And my whole life, my father, I love him for who he is, but he was very, if you ever seen He Got Game, Denzel Washington in that movie, or if you've seen Fences, Denzel Washington in that, basically Denzel Washington in anything, that's
Right.
my
Is
dad.
your dad?
Yeah, he's very, particular, and he pushed me and drove me and said, you gotta do this, you want to be the best, you gotta put the work in, you gotta put the time in, get up early, go to bed late, and I've just carried that over in everything I do. So I write, a lot of times I'll write at 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning. I'll wake up, I used to go into work early, my day job, at like 7, just so I could write when no one's in the office and just everything's quiet. I would stay later to around 5 or 6, and my boss would be there, like, oh, you're working late? I'm like, yeah, I'm working late.
Like, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Right. I'm writing. So anytime I would always write. My partner got me a thing to put up in the shower, so you can write in the shower. I don't know if you ever seen.
Oh,
it.
that's super cool.
It's so cool. It's a pencil. And it's all those little sticky things. Little suction cups. So you put it in the shower, and there's a little piece of paper that doesn't, even if it gets wet, the pencil stays there and everything. So I can write. I have so many notes in the shower for like scenes and characters and things that just, so it doesn't leave you. Because a lot of times I was running outside of the shower to get my phone like butt naked, trying to take it down so I don't forget it. So it's just like,
I love that.
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
I need that. I need that in my life.
So yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I played ball and then played in high school. I was a pretty big recruit out here in Philadelphia, and then I went to college, played. After college, I went overseas in Germany and played a little bit, and then I just wanted just to do writing. I just want to do that full time, kind of. So here we are.
Wow. So did you make anything that helped you to
Yeah.
further your aspirations as an
I
author?
majored in English and communications at my undergrad at Cabrini, and then for
Mm-hmm.
my graduate studies, I went to Oxford and I majored in English literature
Oh,
with
very
a
nice.
Oh,
secondary in
that's
creative writing. So that was like massively helpful. That's where I really
that's
just
Very
learned
nice.
so much and just soaked it up like a sponge. I remember I was in one of my creative writing classes at Oxford, and the professor called me, had me stay after. One thing by the way, I don't know if they don't like to be called professors in Oxford. I thought that was so weird that British, like, that's
Really?
not a thing like that.
what do they want
Well,
you to call them?
he's like, just call me my name, call me Noel. Like, all
Oh,
right, no.
well, American professors are not going to have that unless
I
you're going to
know they're
go for the
not gonna
cool
have that.
one.
Actually, I kept doing it. I kept, yes, professor. He's like, dude, stop. Just, he was a great guy, but at the time, I actually just signed with my first agent for a
Hmm.
book that never got published. It was my first YA book, and I guess it just wasn't good enough. It wasn't there yet. And we ended up just parting ways, and I found Christopher now, who's just incredible. And he was like, every time we do a writing, seminar or writing workshop or anything like that, you always bring parts of that book to it. And
Hmm.
it seems like you already got your stuff together. So why are you here? Like, I just want to
Hmm.
learn. I just want to soak up as much information as I can from all these people who I know so much more than me. And still to this day, that's one thing my dad instilled in me was, I don't care if you want to be a basketball player, you want to be a writer, you want to be a chess player, you want to be a Pokemon trainer, whatever you do, you do it to the best of your ability. You give 110%, and you be around the best basketball player, be around the best writer, be around the best
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and just soak it up and just
Yep.
learn from the best. So that's what I wanted to do, and going there, it just opened up another part of my just craft and my skills, and it just really helped me define those skills and refine them to the best of my ability. So
Wow.
I
That's
love it. I love
amazing.
it all.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a long journey from West Philly in a one bedroom apartment, like not one like room, like bedroom, like, oh, there's a bedroom, then you got a living room and a bath. No, one room. It just was a single
Mm.
room.
Yeah.
And my brother, Vince, my sister Alexis, my mom, the three of us, well, four of us rather, all slept on the same bed, same room,
Aw.
West
Wow.
Philly. So
Yeah.
from there to a kid at Oxford, to playing, in Germany, to having a book, it's been such a crazy journey, and
For sure.
don't let anyone tell you can't do anything. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's hard work, dedication, and talent. I mean, it's
The
clear that you have all
trifecta.
of them. Yeah. So, how does your real life seep into this story? Where are the influences? What influences are you okay sharing? I don't know. Sometimes
Oh
there's
no, I
very
mean,
personal things that we all have that we put into,
yeah,
stories.
yeah. Every book I write has a piece of me in it. Um, the couple things I've written, I'm currently writing after the Brave of Us. They all have a piece of me, you know. But this
Mhm.
book is like the most of me because Alexis is pretty much me in a sense. So the basketball side of her and the way
Mhm.
she thinks about the world, because that's how I saw the
Mhm.
world at that age, which is why I found it really troubling that not only did I see it that age, but people still see it that way,
Yeah.
especially in our community, in the black community, and that was a story I felt needed to be told because it was really get on my last nerves, if I'm being honest with you.
Mhm.
I think, not to make this into like a political thing, but I'm sure everyone knows about the Dave Chappelle stuff that's going
Mhm.
on.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's just a prime example of why I wrote the book and what I'm talking about. It's just for some reason we don't get it, and it's just like just so
Yeah.
frustrating. My whole life, like Alexis, I was told, especially being a basketball player and an athlete,
Hmm.
you can't be queer. Like you
Yeah.
can't do it.
Right.
You just can't.
Right.
I'm sorry. Not only does it make you look weak, it makes you have you know, kind of a weakness on the court, people will take advantage of it. Well, this is all stuff that I was told, by the way. None of this is
Oh,
true, by the way, because I
right.
am who I am, and when I go out and play, I'm usually the best player on the court. I mean, I'm not just doing that to toot my own horn, but it is what it is. So it's like I was told that for so long, and and growing up, I remember I would stand a certain way, and I would get slapped upside my head by my dad. He'd be like,
Oh,
"Don't stand like that. You're standing like like you're gay." Essentially, it's
Right.
like
yeah.
I don't even know what that means. Like, how am I standing? I'm just standing like a
Right.
person. I got to stand here, and I'm not like a flamingo with like one leg up.
Right.
So
Yeah.
but I like that stuff was ingrained, so I just couldn't do it. And then as kids, and myself included, my friends, like we would tease people like that because you didn't want to be seen that. So, it was almost that internalized homophobia that was inside of us that was just, God, we don't want to be that. So you just,
Mhm.
just so much was just instilled in me from that community, and I just wanted to detox from that. And
Yeah.
I want to
Right.
write a story to show that, like, hey, it doesn't have to be that way. And if you're a
Yeah.
kid like me, thinking and being told this and being ingrained this, then hey, this is a story to show you that you don't have to do it. You can be
Right.
who you are. You can be that beautiful person, whether you're queer or not. You can be you and not have to be apologetic about it.
Absolutely.
I train basketball every day. So I actually get up. I'm at the gym at 5 a.m. every day, and a lot of times I train a
Oh
lot of.
Lord.
People say that all the time. They're like, "How do you get up so early?" Like, well, one, I don't want to get up that early, but it's the only time the gym's like open and no one's in there. Especially
Right.
with COVID now, I don't want to be around like all these people.
Yeah.
But like a lot of teenagers or college kids, I'll train them, and they'll come in. And I remember one kid brought up this whole story. I don't know if you know, but an ex NBA player, Dwayne Wade. Um, their daughter is a trans
Oh, yes.
girl, yeah,
Yes. Mhm.
and they're very supportive. Him and Gabrielle Union
Very
are
much
supportive,
so.
Hmm.
very much so, as they should be. And this kid was like, "Have you seen the story on Instagram?" I was like, "No, what are you talking about?" And he showed it to me, and he thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Like, "Oh, look at all these
Oh.
memes about how like, you know, he has two daughters now, and like just making fun of him." And then I guess there's this rapper, Bootsy Badass. First of all,
Oh.
that name, like what,
This is the guy. That's the
I
guy who
think,
went after Little Nas X recently, right?
yeah,
That disgusting.
right, and
Yeah.
he was like, "Oh, did you see his post?" And you look at the comments, and people are like, "Yeah, you tell him, Bootsy," and yeah, that's right. I'm just like, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, like, come on, people, like, no. And I even have friends, to their, you know, benefit that they called me when because this book was really my way of saying who I am without
Mhm.
saying who I am. And
Yeah.
eventually, once it came out, I knew I had to do that anyways. So it
Hmm.
kind of just helped me push myself out there.
Yeah.
And I had my friends call me, lifetime friends, and they were like, "Man, so I saw your post on Instagram. So what's it mean to be queer? Like, what? Like, I didn't know that." And I mean, that's cool. I don't care. But at the same time, like, why do we have to have queer things in anything, like in video games or in books or in movies? I'm like, because it's representation. Like, every movie you've ever watched, there's been a girl kissing a guy. That's
Yeah.
all you ever seen. That's all you ever known. So you
Right.
were told that growing up. So yeah, wouldn't you want to see someone like you on screen? Like my friend's black. I was like, weren't you happy when you saw, you know, a black superhero on screen for the first time? Finally, you saw Black Panther. Like, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, how many white superheroes
Right.
do we have? Like, finally, we got one. You know,
Right.
like, it's about representation. So you were happy. So wouldn't you want a kid that's queer and black, or someone sitting there that want to see them on screen, to see them on the page? Like, that's what it's about. That's why you do
Yeah.
it. And it's like, I know, but it's training our kids to feel that way, and they'll.
Oh God.
Oh man, no.
No,
I
it's
love
training
them.
your
Yeah.
children to actually understand that all different kinds of people exist in this world.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what it's training them to be.
And oh, by the way, you could have a queer kid.
You could.
You know what I mean? Like, you could have a queer kid. What are you gonna do?
Right.
What are you gonna do?
I'm like,
Jeez.
dude, you understand, like, us growing up, how many things I've kept inside because I just was so petrified to say anything that I really felt, like, and now I love it because I'm just at a point where I love it so much. I just love wearing it on my sleeve at this point. So now I'm just so comfortable. Like I'll be with my friend, and about that, I'm kind of gonna out myself a little bit more here, like my celebrity crushes at this point. But like we'll be sitting there and like, Harry Styles will pop on the screen. I'm like, oh my god, Harry Styles. But before I would never say anything like that. Like,
Right,
oh my god.
right.
But then if like someone else came on the screen, like J Lo or something, like, oh yeah, J Lo. Just because I gotta make sure I pump that testosterone and that masculinity up, so they know I'm super straight. It's like ridiculous. So I'm so glad I'm not at that point anymore. But that book really just helped me come out. All this to answer your question: is there anything in this book that's me? Yes. So there is. But
Yeah.
those two parts mainly, the her dealing with that sexuality at a young age and having to come to terms with it in the Black community, and then also the basketball element. Those two are the most. But then, with that being said, Amani is also me because I'm obsessed with comics, as we talked about earlier.
Yes.
So all that stuff, is very much a part of me,
I love her so much.
She's a nerd in the best way.
right?
She's
She really is. Yeah. Wow.
And she's got some balls on her though, and she's like, "No,
Didn't
I'm
she?
going with you, with Devon." I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna go? Really? Okay, go,
Yeah.
get in that car, pick up
No.
that piece."
Amani was a true friend.
Yeah.
And that's why I adored her so much. And, because Alexis' story was really like sad. But what I wanted to say was, like her living situation, the situation with her mother and all those other people and where she's sleeping and all that stuff, it was like so heartbreaking. But the way that you wrote Alexis with being so snarky and still having some kind of levity about her, it helped me to not fall under that crushing feeling of like, man, this girl's got it. Somebody give her a break. You know what I mean? That was a
Yes.
nice. It was a nice.
There was a nice balance of comedy in throughout, so that you didn't just kind of get depressed. And
Yeah, it was a good balance.
it was it was really. I mean, comedy's such a hard thing to write, and it comes off so effortlessly. My mouth doesn't even work. We just love the book, so I'm gonna gush like a little girl, but
I'm glad it could translate well. I was very worried that it might not, because I was very when we were trying to get this thing out. I mean, it was hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. In fact, I'm gonna kind of out the industry at this point right now. This may hopefully this doesn't come back to haunt me. But going through the process, I signed with Christopher Schelling's my agent. He's amazing. I don't know if you know him or not, but his other clients are Augustus Burroughs, Rainbow Rowell. She's.
Oh yeah.
I tell him this all the time, so he's heard this 1,000 times. I love Rainbow so much, and I also hate her with.
I feel like the book world feels the same way.
Because she's doing everything I want to do. She's a New York Times best-selling young adult writer. She writes for Marvel, which is like my other absolute dream to do. I'm like, you go in the Barnes and Nobles, and there's just a kiosk of just her books. I'm like, I tell him every time I write him an email, at the end of it, I say, I need to get to where Rainbow. Like, I need that in my life. Like, I need to find this Bush kiosk. Like, that's when I know I made it.
Yeah.
And I always say, where's my Marvel meeting? Like, I need that. Let's get it.
Yeah.
I would love to write, a Spider-Man story, whether Miles or Peter. I would love to do either one.
That'd be
So
great.
if you're listening, Kevin Feige, like, please contact me.
That's amazing.
But yeah, so I where was I going with that? I go down a Marvel path and I just completely forget anything about life. I just think about characters and Avengers and Guardians and X-Men.
Well, while you're trying to remember, let us say that we both fell in love with Matthew.
Oh my God, Matthew's fantastic.
We love Matthew so much. Also, we love his parents.
His parents are adorable.
So adorable. There were so many laugh out loud moments in this book. again, I need a physical copy because I wanted to like mark them, but this book made me laugh out loud several times, and we just adore Matthew as well.
I,
Matthew was
I
fantastic.
I love writing Matthew. In fact, I did do an interview. It was a written interview, so it wasn't like this. So I had a lot of time to think about answers, so I wasn't as nervous. But they asked me, "Would you write a sequel?" I'm like, like I'm not a big fan of like sequels. I think Hemingway once said like, they'll once you write a book, they'll always want you to write that book again,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of fall down a path if you do that, and you kind of
Mm.
don't evolve.
Mm-hmm.
I think obviously there's great series out there that I love. We talked
Sure,
about
sure.
Sherlock earlier, but I just their stories told. I said if I had to absolutely write something that delved in this world again with these same exact characters, I would want to do something on Matthew because like I love Matthew. I love writing him so much, and I
Yeah.
learned so much about that community, the
Mm-hmm.
autistic community, and that was like a big thing for me is to make sure I nailed him and Amani and and all the characters that I'm not a part of those communities.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm black, queer. I can write Alexis all day long. That's
Yeah.
that's easy. But the Matthew stuff. So my one of my dear friends, Kara, her sister is autistic, and she actually works in the autistic field.
Mm-hmm.
So she was a big reader for me, a sensitivity reader, and she helped me out so much. And I also had a bunch of other ones as well, and they were just big, helping me go like, oh, that's a stereotype, that's a trope, like not, So
Mm.
I took out a lot of stuff. There was even more scenes with Matthew, and some of them like they're like, no, let's take that out. So I had to massage a lot of scenes with him, but I every time I had to rewrite him, I was never mad. I'm like, oh, okay, good. I get to
Right.
rewrite a different scene a different way. And the more I learned about that community, the more I learned about him, it became so much fun to write him.
So,
I,
Alyssa and I have talked about this before. We are always wondering, how does an author find sensitivity readers? Do they choose
Yes.
their own? Is there like an association of sensitivity readers? Do publishers have them on deck for you to choose from? How does that all work?
We're very curious.
it, it works with so my editor and the publisher, they found pretty much all of them. However, going into the book, I didn't want to write anything I didn't know anything about. Even if I wasn't part of that community, I still want to have some kind of reference for it. So I did so much research, but also like Amani, one of my dear friends, Sono Patel. It's kind of loosely based off of her. In fact, the reason why Amani is Hindu and not Muslim, like most YA Indian
Right.
characters are,
Yes.
is because of her. So, a funny story, back in like 20, this is how I measure time, by the way. I think of what Marvel movie came out when this happened. So this was Age of
Are you
Ultron.
serious?
I'm 100% serious. Age of Ultron came out in 2014, I believe. Yeah, 2014. So, 2014, or maybe 2016. I think it's 2014. Either way, I was talking to Sono, and I know she's a big nerd like me. She loves all the Marvel stuff, and I read Kamala Khan. I love Miss Marvel so much. I'm like, oh my god, this person is like everything to me. And I knew Sonal, she's Indian, and I was like, oh, you got to read this book. This person is you. So I gave her the first trade paperback of Miss Marvel. And she called me like a couple days later. She goes, I absolutely love the book. Thank you so much for bringing this character to me. But I'm not Muslim, which is what Kamala is.
Ah.
I was like, oh, I didn't know there was a difference. You know what I mean? Like I was
Right.
ignorant just like Alexis was. So then she started kind of like educating me on that. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I started reading books like, Sabrina Khan's Love and Lies of Rishana Ali and Mafi's A Very Large Expanse of Sea.
Mm-hmm.
And I love these books and these YA books, but they're all told from like a Muslim,
Yeah.
kind of background. And I was like, well, much like Sonal, she's Hindu. She never sees a Hindu character. Like, let me give her something to cheer about. So when I wrote this, I was like, I'm not sending this to an agent. I'm not submitting it to anything until you read this and tell me this is you, this character Amani
Wow.
nails
I
what
love
you've
that.
been I want you to just give me your stamp of approval.
Oh
And she
wow,
read
that's
it.
so nice.
She got back to me. She's like, I have a couple notes. Firstly, I absolutely love it, and thank you so much for making her Hindu and not Muslim. I love that so much. Secondly, I don't think you understand how hard it is to put on a sari. Because before the scene, I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone, but there's a scene where someone's put on a sari.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
It was a lot easier before I rewrote that. And she's like, there's no way in hell she could do what she did, how she was doing it. So I was like,
Right.
okay, thank you for that. And I completely rewrote it. So, it's a little bit more challenging for that character. But she let me,
That's so
so many
great.
little things like that I would not have caught
Yeah.
if it wasn't for her.
But it's those little things about a culture story that much more expansive when you really don't miss those fine details.
Right, exactly.
And I do love how much Amani challenged that presumption that everybody throughout the book has about her. And because that's just so real. How many people have to do this every day in their lives? And that representation is huge. Just seeing you in a book, like you see me in every book. Like, all right, I'm everywhere. But
Right.
to see somebody, like when I see characters, oh, that's not true. I've read Turtles all the way down. I have read
Oh, there you
Jungle.
go. That's,
So
that's
when
like my least
I
favorite one, to be honest.
I know a lot of people don't like it. I loved it. So when I see
I
somebody
still love
who's
it. That's what I feel.
incredibly anxious and has like a lot of like depression, general anxiety, like eating disorder, anything in the mental health space, that makes me feel seen. And that's the only way that I can understand
You're going to love my next book then.
literally anybody else who doesn't have representation in the world, right?
Right.
Because suddenly you feel like you exist, like what you feel is normal, what you go through is normal. There are people like you. You're not alone in the world, and that you're okay being you. Representation is huge. It's absolutely huge.
It's paramount. It
How
really
many
is.
times do we have to keep saying that representation matters? It's like, please, people, just understand that one thing. Representation matters. I don't know why we just can't wrap our heads around that.
Right.
It's not going to make you gay. Just like it's not going to make
Right.
you, it's not going to make me Hindu. Like,
Right.
if you like, it's so weird to me the places people go just to continue their prejudice instead of looking into a mirror and being like, okay, maybe I need to do some changing of how I'm thinking here, because it sounds ridiculous. If I change the words, sometimes things just end up sounding really ridiculous because that's what
Right.
you're saying. I'm just going to sub in a different word. And now does it sound foolish? Yes, it kind of does. So
Yep.
Yeah, that's
let
what it's
people
about.
exist, please.
Yep. Yeah.
Going back to I remember what I was going to say, by the way. I was
Oh,
going
good.
to say that when we were looking for agents and when I found Christopher, he was very much on my same wavelength, thankfully. But when we were going to editors, we wanted to make sure that they didn't change the dialogue and the dialect of Alexis, especially Alexis. I know there's some language in there that some people might find offensive, or they may think is like, oh my God, do we have to hear that word so many times? But that's how we talk, you know. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of that, but I will be lying to you if I said when I'm not with my friends from the block, we don't words come out. You know, that's just how we express ourselves. And it was a great point in the book where when Alexis is talking about an officer, and I think she's talking about her living situation and how cops don't care about it because it's just another black person
Yeah.
poison their body, and hey, the less the better, right?
Right.
In their regard. And she uses the word with an ER on the end, and my editor was really just like, whoa, maybe we shouldn't use this. And I wrote like a whole thing on the side of why, like, no, it is paramount that we use this. In fact, I would strongly suggest we do not turn away from this, because everyone who reads it that is black will know exactly what Alexis is talking about, and we'll do that. We'll do that thing my mom, my grandma do in church. The yep.
What Naomi's doing right now.
Right. right, exactly. So I was like, no, they'll know.
Yeah.
And then the like the people who aren't of that community will go feel comfortable. You know what? They should feel uncomfortable because how uncomfortable we felt for our whole lives. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's a reason why, and that word was used to kind of put us down,
Hmm.
and discriminate against us. And we took that word back and brought
Right.
it into our culture, to our
Mhm.
Right.
music, to our way of talking. And we
Right.
made that word more of a celebration as opposed to that. But when we use that ER, that's for those people. You know what
For
I mean?
sure.
To let people like, no, no, we don't mess with them. So
Yeah.
like little things like that, I was really firm on we can't get rid of that kind of
I'm
stuff.
glad you were.
And saying that, I felt I had a responsibility. My best friend Justin, who I grew up with, he's a big activist in the black community, and he's a member of ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, and he's goes to meetings and rallies and talks, and he's a big person, and he was like, you have an obligation to tell our story, and don't let someone else tell it. Don't let a
Mhm.
white person tell it. Don't let an Asian person, like, you tell it. You know what I mean? So many times we look up on the screen or on the page, and that story that's supposed to be ours is being told by someone that's not that. You
Yeah.
look at something like Hidden Figures. I love that
Hmm.
film. That's written by a white person. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
do you really get it? You haven't really been in those shoes. You can do all the research you want, but you haven't lived that life, that discrimination, what it feels like for my brother and me to be pulled over, driving the opposite way of a cop car, going like 15 miles an hour, and they pull us over, and he comes to the side of the window and goes, "You guys smoking weed?" And I was like, my brother laughs, by the way. This is the thing you should not do, kids. Do not laugh when the cops pull you over. um, and I was like, I'm so sorry, officer. He's laughing because we are the two last people who would ever do that. I've never smoked or nothing. I'm an athlete. I'm a professional athlete. Like my body's like a temple. Like
Yeah.
we would never do that. That's why he's laughing. And no, can I search your car? Then I said, by all means, knock yourself out. Which again, kids, don't ever do that either. I've been told many
Don't.
times since,
Yes.
never do that again, Charles, because they can
Yes.
definitely plant something
Oh, there's a slick little hand move there.
yeah.
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 Hmm.
No.
So I learned my lesson, and that was back in like 2009. So that was before a lot of the stuff has come to light, in recent
Hmm.
years. If I know what I know now back then, there's no way in hell
Oh,
I would have been that calm at that
Mhm.
stop, or I would have let them do what they did. Of
No.
course, they
They
didn't
need
find
a
anything. They let me.
they
They
need a
let me.
warrant to go through your private property. Everybody,
Right.
not allowed to go through your car.
So
yeah.
it's really a big thing that our stories are being told by us.
Hmm.
And,
Yeah.
and just like I would want, I love something like Parasite. That's a Korean story. I want that being told by a Korean person. I don't think
Hmm.
that's too much to ask.
Yeah.
For too long, I think we've kind of just let people get away with writing things just because they don't want to give that person a chance who's writing that of that community, and that really bothers me.
Yeah.
Um,
It deprives us of a real, true look into a different person's world. Like, we're all different people. We all have different life experiences. I don't care how you want to divide everybody up. We all have different life experiences for the things that shape each of us. And if I'm writing your story, that's not authentic. That's not true. I I I, I don't need to write your story. I want to know your story. I don't want to write your story.
Right.
right, which is
And I
why I would
can't.
never do that sequel I said about Matthew. As much as I would love to do it, I couldn't. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it because I'm not autistic, and I don't care how many people that are autistic. If you're not that, you can't write a whole entire story with the
In
main
that
character who is that. I just think that's
headspace.
yeah, it's a little bit too much.
I get it and I respect it, but I will say this. You wrote those characters so well. I
Hmm.
just can't help but want to know what happens to them later. I just, this is how well you wrote. This is your fault, is what I'm
It is really
saying.
your fault.
This is your fault because I'm thinking about them. I want to know what they're doing. What are they up to? How did college work out? I just want to know.
Yeah.
So
I love Matthew. I love him when he's at the basketball game. I love him
so funny.
everywhere. I love him on the bus. I pictured him growing up to be like one of those actuaries that like tells you when how your risk of dying is for everything. Was that like Along Came Polly? Is that the movie
Yeah,
where Ben
Yeah,
Stiller's
yeah.
the
Yes.
like? That's
Yeah.
what I was like. This is where he's going with his life. He's gonna be
Yeah,
he's gonna be doing selling life insurance and
that
figuring out your
basketball.
premiums.
That basketball game scene was hilarious. He's like, we can yell at the referees.
That was I will lie, that was one of my favorite scenes in the book. In fact, I remember I write a lot, like if I don't have a pen, like I still handwrite everything. In fact, my
Oh,
process is I have two pens. One really nice fountain pen, really nice. And I have one fountain pen that's like kind of shitty, but
yeah.
it is what it is. And I have a little notebook, and I'll write a chapter, or two or whatever in that, and then I'll copy it from that to my other nicer notebook, like a leather bound one, with my nice pen, and I'll copy it again. So it's like a draft within a draft. And then
Oh.
Okay.
I'll type it up on my computer, and then I'll print that out, and I'll read that draft and edit it, and then I'll go on to the next part of the story. So it's like a draft within a draft. So I'm just constantly editing, constantly tweaking, constantly seeing what works, what doesn't work, you know. And then I also have I stole this from Jane Austen, by the way, so I can't take full credit for this. But she always
Oh,
said
I'm
she's
listening now.
You got a Lisa
I'm
Austen.
listening now.
Jane's like my favorite. It's if you ask me on a certain day, it depends on what day you ask me. Some days I'll say Jane Austen's my favorite writer of all time. Other days I'll say F. Scott Fitzgerald. It really depends on what mood I'm in. But more often than not, it falls under Jane because Pride and Prejudice is just my Jane.
Do you have the Jane Austen action figure? Because I do.
Ooh, I do not.
She comes with a desk and a quill.
That's so cool. You don't understand. I'm definitely gonna buy that as soon as I get off of this. That's 100% happening. 100% happening.
Oh my goodness,
That
Alyssa's
is so
beaming
awesome.
right now. You just
Alyssa's
made her
I'm in
day.
full dork mode. Let's
Did-
go. Okay,
Did you know-
Jane
did
Austen.
Did you ever play the game? What was it called? It was it was a word game on the iOS app, and they took it down, which really bugs me. But you would pick a writer, so they had Jane Austen,
No.
Herman, Melville.
Melville.
Yeah. Edgar Allan
Goddamn
Poe.
Moby Dick is everywhere.
I know. Edgar Allan Poe and a couple others, and they would battle it out like Street Fighter characters at the top of the screen, and below were just letters. And you have to make words faster than your opponent. Every time you made a word with the letters, they would do an attack on the other opponent, and then
Oh,
their
Why did they
opponent
take
would
this
go
game down?
It was incredible, and I only reason I got it because I'm usually pretty bad at those kind of games, but I just want to be Jane Austen in a video game, so I'm like, oh, I'm just buying it just for that. But they took it
Wow,
down. Yeah,
that
I know.
sounds
It's a
fun
bummer.
actually.
It
I
was so
I have
fun.
I didn't know about this until about 15 seconds ago, and I'm offended that they took it down.
I know.
Right.
I'm offended.
I think it was called Word Fight or something like that. I was so mad, but they took it down. Yeah, I don't know why.
I love word
Such a
games.
bummer.
But yeah, so where's I going with Jane Austen? I love
Jane Austen writing,
You're
draft
writing
within a draft
Yes.
within a draft.
So she said whenever she would write, she would love to see it like how it would be in a book. So she would want to hold
Oh.
something that looked how it would be when it was published. Instead of just writing on
That makes
paper,
sense.
just willy-nilly, she wanted to be like in a notebook so she could flip through it like a book and see it on both sides and just have that, something really hard to hold. So that's kind of where I got that from, and then I just
That makes perfect sense to me.
just went over there. I stole a lot of things from a lot of writers. I stole from I think it was William Faulkner, who. So every time I got a rejection letter for agent and for publishing, I would just put it on my wall in my bedroom. So my whole bedroom just covered in things. And people would come to my house and they'd be like, "This is so depressing. Why would you do this?" I'm like, well, to me it's not. I grew up like I told you, everything I want to do, I want to do the best at.
Yeah.
And it's motivation to me. Every person that said you can't do it,
Right.
guess what? I'm gonna do this.
Right. This is fuel, baby. What do
Right.
you
Oh
mean?
man,
Yeah.
I wake up every day just champ at the bit. Look at those things like, oh my god, I can't wait to prove you wrong. Um, they're still up there. I look at them every day, every morning when I get up. I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this. Don't worry. And I won't lie. There was some times where it got a little discouraging,
Yeah.
disheartening. I was like, maybe I won't do it. Maybe they're right.
Well, I'm glad you did.
They're pretty bad at this. But if I wasn't writing, I don't know what I would be doing. I just it. I know people say this is probably cliche, is all get out, but if I'm not writing, I don't know how I'm surviving. Like I have to write. I have to get these. I have so much in my head. I just have to get it out some kind of way, And if I can help some people along the way, that's what it's about. But a lot of it's just to help me. Whether this book's about my sexuality or my other books are about other things that are part of me that I love that I want to get out. Whatever I can do to do it, that's what I do. So
I think that's wonderful. So you mentioned your agent a couple times. So is this the
yeah,
process of getting the book published? Do you seek an agent first? Like what's that process look like
yeah.
when you want to publish a book?
Well, I'm sure it's different for many people. For me, being a first time debut author, black, writing about a black queer character, especially I signed with Christopher in 2019. We didn't find a publisher until 2021.
Oh wow.
We got a lot of rejections. In fact, there were times where Christopher would email me with the rejection, and he would go, "I got to be honest. I'm seeing things like excuses why people don't want to take your book that I've never seen in my entire career." And again, this guy deals
Really?
with multiple. I mean, his clients have movies and TV shows and award-winning and shelves and bookstores like we talked about. Like, I'm gonna give Christopher a lot of love here because I love him and he's amazing. He's the goat. But I mean, he's got a big deal, in the industry. Like he knows what he's doing. He's been around the block and he's had a lot of success. So being thankful enough and blessed enough to have landed him, I kind of thought it was going to be a little bit easier, like, oh man, he walks in a room, everyone
Right.
knows his name. And he was like, I've just never seen any of this before. And I'll give you an example. I won't say any names. We had an editor read it, write back this long email to Christopher and I saying, it is incredible. I love this. I love this character. This is the best book I've read since sliced bread. Yada, yada, yada. It's amazing. And then there's like a little sentence. However, I'd actually like if this happened, which in fact we both agreed with. And I ended up changing because he was so right. I'm like, that's a great, point. That's a great shout. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
And he goes, with that being said, I think because of that, I'm not going to take on the book. So sorry. And then Christopher told me, he goes, you know what makes me mad about this email? I just sold him a book like 2 weeks ago with a client. This is the same editor. And he wrote back an email with pages of like, this is bad. We got to change this. We got to do this. I don't like this. Yada, yada, all bad. But he bought that book, but not this one. So I said, let me ask you a question. Was this person black and queer? Honestly. It's like, no. I'm like, well, I mean, do I really need to spell it out anymore? And it'd be one thing if that was just one time that was happening, but it kind of kept coming up. In fact, we had an editor say, what my problem with this book is? I love it, but I feel like the black community is going to look at it and see themselves as wanting to get out of the ghetto, and that's, I don't think they would take kindly to that. I was like, and Christopher says, he goes, I said, this is based off of his life, right? Like he lived like most of this.
So is that supposed to mean that black people are supposed to want to stay in the ghetto?
Exactly, which
I am
really blew my mind. And I told my friend I was thinking about earlier.
Who wants to stay in a ghetto? Nobody wants to stay in a ghetto. If they can find a way to not be there.
It's systemic racism that put us there anyways. We had Black Wall Street in Oklahoma. We were prospering. We had so much, and
But you couldn't have that
We
We
can't have
burnt
that.
that down.
Exactly. So it's like this is,
I just,
you know, we didn't make these ghettos. They were given to
No, we,
us. And we're
no, you
trying to,
didn't.
every time we want to uplift ourselves, we get put back down, which is why we can go on a whole rant about Black lives and why they all
Yeah.
matter and that kind of
right.
stuff. But that really like, we were getting things like that. And he's like, man, I don't know. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I don't know what to say. So I
Oh, I
thank
am
him
very
every,
disturbed by that.
it was rough, you know, and I thank him every time I talk to him for just sticking with me, not giving
Yeah,
up on me, believing in the book,
absolutely.
believing in the vision, believing in my talent. You know, I could not have done any of this without his encouragement and just always being behind me saying, hey, don't worry, we'll do it. I know it. I believe in this book. I know it. And I mean, I even contacted some of his clients, a lot of, you know, big time people. They were great, get back into me. And they're like, don't worry, if Christopher believes in you, you know you got something. Like, don't fret. It may take a while, but it'll happen, you know. And they were in my corner, and it kind of got me through it. But there were some dark days. It definitely was.
Good
That's
grief.
100% fact.
Well, I'm glad that somebody was smart enough to take this on because I think that
Yeah.
I really do think you have something here that's really powerful and wonderful.
Hmm.
And
Thank you.
there's a lot that's represented in here. There's a lot that, you know, all different kinds of people can see themselves in these characters.
Yeah.
And there is joy within the trauma.
Hmm.
And I mean, that is life. Like,
Right.
life is a whole mix of things, but
Yes.
you can find a light somewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It's like Inside Out. That's what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
You,
like
you got,
Alexis,
you
she
need
could
to
have given up so many points. She could
Oh
have
my
given up
gosh.
in this
So
story
many.
and not been the person that she ends up being at the end. And she doesn't. And she doesn't for many reasons.
Exactly. She
Yeah.
found little pockets of joy here and there, and she just kind of held on to that. Although it may have been scary to do so, because that's also involves trusting those pockets of joy,
Right.
which isn't easy when you're in her situation where everyone has kind of let you down.
And she also has a lot of assumptions. I mean, I think the scenes with Lindsay are just wonderful. You
Oh,
know, this
so yeah,
realizing how many like how much you have in
yeah,
common with people that maybe you don't think that you do
Exactly.
because you have your own assumptions about them. That's a lesson I think everybody can learn about everybody in their lives. You know, you can't be assuming.
exactly.
I mean,
I
there's
mean,
so
I don't
many
want to ruin that
parallels.
part, but
No, but you
that
can't
little
assume what
handshake.
people's homes are like or what their
Yeah.
upbringings are like or what their backgrounds are like. We could all have so much more in common with each other than you might think at first glance.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which is what Alexis learned in that particular scene. Because when they did their special, like little neighborhood, little, I
Mhm.
was like, yeah,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
felt that part. You know, I was like, that's yeah, yeah,
It was me. You know, growing up, I didn't. You don't realize how much just those communities, the Indian and Black communities, have in common.
Mhm.
right,
I mean, you look at something like even the music. It's such a big part of Bollywood and a part of their community that they wear proudly, and it's a big part of the Black community. In
yep,
fact, so much so, you know, you got things like Jay-Z and Mobb Deep, and they sample Bollywood songs,
Yeah.
Hindi
yes,
songs. People don't even realize that. So that's why, you
yeah.
know, there's a scene in the book. Again, not trying to spoil anything, but where they hear that music and everyone's like, "This is dope! Oh, yeah, hey,
That
I
I
can get down to this," you know.
that scene was
You know, it's like
everything.
We need more Bollywood books, is what we need.
that's
Because
100%,
Bollywood is dope, and
100%
people
fact.
don't. If you don't know, you don't know. Like, it is dope.
I'm also, you know, well, I'm sure we'll talk about what I'm working on later, but I'm a huge, in fact, if you go downstairs, you'll see a big, gigantic La La Land poster in my living room. I'm a huge, like, musical, like, I grew up on Disney
Hmm.
movies, so
Mm-hmm.
musicals are just in my blood, I guess.
Yeah,
So I just, like, am obsessed with it. So then, like, found Bollywood, I'm like, oh my God, this is, like, the best of everything. Like, the
right.
dancing and the choreography and the you know,
You got like a soap opera. I mean,
right,
It's yeah,
the costumes
yeah,
and everything. It's just amazingly beautiful, and
yeah.
you're so talented. And that's I was like, look at that. And then, like I said, and I think this is like second chapter, so I can say this, but she's like, yeah, it's like a Beyonce video. You know what I mean? Like, and she's like, well,
Yeah.
who wouldn't want to watch that? That's awesome. So it's like we have
Right.
so many connections there, and there's so many parallels. I feel like we just kind of we didn't really see them, and when I saw them, like, man, how many more parallels do we have to other communities that we don't even know about because
Oh,
we
for
just
sure.
don't open our minds to it.
Yeah, we build walls because we're like, you're other, so I'm gonna build a wall, and I'm gonna stay behind mine because I know everything here and I'm safe here. But
And we
maybe
do
you don't
ourselves a
need that.
disservice when we do that. When we shut ourselves off from other people, it's a disservice to ourselves.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Wow. Yeah.
Shame.
Yeah.
There's so
Oh,
much
that
good out
Bollywood
there.
scene was
It's so good. It's
when
so good.
when again, not going to spoil anything, but
It's so
when
hard
she
not to spoil things.
mentioned when she mentioned this special surprise, I was like, oh no, are they going to do it? Are they going to do it? I loved it.
My mom, she like she's seen like everything I've written up until this point, stuff that has never come out, that's like terrible and should never see the light of day ever.
Don't say that because I will say that Neil Gaiman has talked about how he often goes up into his attic and pulls out things that he's discarded. And there are
Oh.
many of his books that are old, just random junk thoughts that are up in the attic. So your attic thoughts might become
That's
something
true.
great one day.
That's very true.
They're just not good now. They're not in their right state yet.
But the first book I wrote like right when I came back from Germany, and like my first foray like into like an actual novel. It ends with like a really crazy like death, and really sad. I was very much into Nicholas Sparks at this point in my life. Let me say that.
You want
That-
everyone to cry.
So you should know exactly how it ends at this point. Someone gets cancer or something crazy happens.
I read The Notebook, and I will never
Right.
do that to myself again.
know.
No more Nicholas Sparks. I was traumatized.
I love the Notebook.
This is enough.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that
I could
simple.
quote the Notebook. Yeah. We're already fighting. Well, that's what we do. We fight. You talk about being a pain in the ass 98% of the time.
Oh, here's my confession. I
Have you
just
never
watched
seen
that
The
movie.
Notebook?
I just saw it for the first time like 3 weeks ago.
Did you cry?
No, but I also didn't see it from the beginning. I saw it from it feels like it was the middle because it was like an hour's, maybe less than an hour's worth of watching. And I was like, oh,
have a heart, Naomi?
I mean, sometimes.
I cry at everything. So
But I
guess
thought it was
I'm not
what
a
I
good
saw. I thought it
barometer.
was really good. I was like, oh, I'll have to watch this again from the beginning.
It's a fun movie. It's
I
definitely,
remember where I was when I read
sorry.
the book, and I remember where
Yeah.
I was when I couldn't stop crying. So
Yeah, I read the book, watched the movie like 1,000 times, fell in love with Ryan Gosling.
Well, I mean,
a lot of things happened
hello.
from that movie.
Yeah.
Crazy. What was it? Crazy
Hard
Stupid
to say.
Love, right? Isn't that the movie?
Oh, yeah. That
Where-
movie was
Where he
great.
takes his shirt off and he looks like he was photoshopped on those apps. Yeah, I remember that very specifically.
very vividly. I just remember watching La La Land with my mom, who's
God.
like must have been late 60s when she was just a few years old now, right? Late 60s, like oohing and ahhing over him. I'm like, for the love of God, Mom, he could be your son. Please stop.
Yeah.
He is beautiful. Now stop.
really is.
I saw it
really
like
is.
7 times in theaters. I would like pay for people to go see it. I'm like, have you seen La La Land? I'll pay for it. Just come. That like Mia in that movie is me. Like her that dream. I mean, she was an actor, but that was like me writing. Like in fact, I would listen to that soundtrack like every day. Sometimes when I was writing, it was on like my playlist when I was writing. Like the whole like someone in the crowd could be the one you need to know. Like that agent might be out there, that editor might be out there. They're gonna find you. Don't give up. Follow your dreams. Like the song at the end. To all the poets, writers and plays, that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
here's the ones who dream. Here's to the fools that dream, as crazy they may seem. That was me. So I looked
This
at me
makes
like,
sense
oh
now,
my God,
Wally.
they're speaking to me.
That's why I thought. So now I understand why I thought of that movie when they all went to New Jersey. So
Yes,
yes.
exactly. Only the true La La Land aficionados can know. where that scene
Another
comes from.
confession. I have not watched that movie yet.
Naomi.
You know what? I'll watch it
Okay.
when you watch episode 1 of season 1 of the Gilmore
Gilmore
Girls.
Girls. Yes.
There you
Fine, but
go.
not tonight because I'm watching Dune.
That's fine. I'm watching Succession for the 3rd time.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to HBO on Succession. That show's amazing.
I know the opening scene to Gilmore Girls like off the top of my head because I've seen it so many times. Like when the guy tries to hit on Lorelai and then he tries
Yes.
hitting on Rory and he goes back and he's like, oh, I've never been through this town before. And then Lorelai comes like, oh yeah, you have. It's like, oh, hi, how you doing? It's like, yeah,
I think you two just need to reenact the whole first
Yeah,
act for the first episode for me, and then I won't have to watch it.
I would be
Oh no,
totally
you
down
have
for that.
got
I'd be
to
totally down
watch
for
it. You must experience the joy that it. See, it always comes back around to Gilmore Girls, doesn't
that.
it?
Always. Everything in my life does. Anyone that knows
Book
me will
people
tell you
can't
that.
escape Gilmore Girls,
You can't.
except for me, apparently.
I mean, it
I like
absolutely has its
coffee.
claws in this culture of whatever. It's just it's in there.
You should have seen my partner brought her friend came over the other day, and she mentioned we were talking about Gilmore Girls because she saw my big collection there.
It's
She
a
goes,
huge box.
It's a huge box, and I also have the Netflix revival there too. I bought that on DVD, so I can have a complete set. I also have pops of Rory and Lorelai that I keep on my desk when I write.
Oh my
So-
goodness.
Aw.
Because my favorite characters are female protagonists because I was raised by my mom and
Mhm.
I just always saw the world through that feminine lens, and those are
Yeah.
my favorite kind of stories and characters. So that's why I love that show so much. But she said, "Oh yeah, I remember I used to love Gilmore Girl. I watched it with my mom. Oh my god, I love Dean." And I lost my effing mind.
I know
went
there's some
I went
debate
off.
over the boys.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that what it is? We have
Team. I'm Team Jess, but
okay.
I've kind of opened up to Logan a little bit more. I'm like, oh, Logan's not too bad. But
I
I'm
actually
still
like
Team Jess.
Logan, and some of our friends that we have in this little book group on Instagram. They're like, "How dare you like Logan over Jess?" And I'm like, "I'm
I-
sorry. I like Logan. I know he's a dick sometimes, but I'm okay. I'm okay with it.
don't
I
have a
just
pony
enjoy
in this
him.
race.
Also, he's
No Dean.
adorable.
No,
He's
Dean.
No Dean.
adorable.
No, Dean.
I
You know,
don't like the name, so
I
it's
could go in. I'm not going to go in because we don't have that time. That's not what we're here for. But I could write a dissertation. Why Dean is
Yeah.
not the one.
We'll just wait for you to choose your favorite, Alyssa, when you watch the
right.
show.
Okay, I hope I'll tell you when we're in the retirement home because that might be how long it takes me to watch it.
Hey, call me up. I'll come in there and watch it with you. I love rewatching it with movies.
Drive on up.
There's a Gilmore Guys podcast that's like really famous. And yeah, it's done by like two big time actors. I forget who they are, and they bring on like other actors who haven't seen the show, and they watch an episode with them, and then like they break it down with them and stuff. And see what
Oh
they think.
my gosh, that sounds like a
Yeah.
dream.
I know, I would love to be on that. but-
Well, if they're watching, they should rip me in, and put me in there.
Right.
Make me watch it.
Exactly.
I'm not a celebrity, but I've never seen it. Oh God, I know I'm the worst. I've never
know.
watched Squid Game either, and apparently
What?
that's
Squid Game's
weird.
so good.
Yeah, see, look,
I'm gonna watch it too at some point.
Squid Game's really good.
you
Yeah.
will watch it, but
I
I
watched-
probably won't.
I watch everything, movies, TV. I read comics, I read books. Anything that has story, I eat it up. Like that's like my fuel. Like that
Yeah.
drives me. I see a story, and my favorite kind of stories are the ones where I leave the theater or I watch the show or I read the book and I go, I wish I wrote that. Like that's when I know. No, that's
That was
it.
good.
So it inspires me seeing other great writers do what they do best. It makes me want to do it. There's a scene in this great movie that director leaves little to be desired, but it's called Midnight in Paris. I don't know if either of you have seen that movie.
I have
It's
not seen
familiar.
Midnight in Paris,
so
but I know
good.
the name.
Owen Wilson, Tom Hiddleston, a lot of great actors.
Well,
in
now
it.
I'll watch
I
it.
feel like
'cause
I've,
it's Tom
I feel like
Hiddleston.
I've seen that. I feel like I've seen that.
I will watch anything with
it's
Tom.
about a Hollywood script writer who wants to write a novel, but he writes like Transformers and like just crappy action movies. He wants to write like a real novel. So he goes to Paris with his fiance, and at midnight, he goes on a walk around Paris, and this like 1920s car comes rolling up, and they open the door like, "Hey, get in, get in." He's like, "Oh, why not?" So he gets in, and they take him back in time. It's like a time machine, and he goes back to the 20s in Paris. So he's having parties with Hemingway and Fitzgerald and Zelda Fitzgerald and
Yeah.
Gertrude Stein and Picasso and all these greats, and he's like in all of these people because they're his like idols. He's like, "Will you read my book, Ernest Hemingway?" And he tells them this story. This is what I bring this up is because he goes, "I won't read it." He's like, "I mean, it'd be great if you give me some notes." He's like, "No, you don't want a writer to read your work because if I read it and it's good, I'll be envious and I'll hate it. And if it's bad, I'll hate all the more because I hate bad writing. You don't want to write your work."
There's no win-win.
He's like, "Yeah, but you're like so great." He's like, "No, it's don't take it personally. The thing is, if you're a writer, declare yourself the best writer, but you're not going to be the best writer as long as I'm around unless you want to go out and fight for it. Like that's Hemingway." So I always kind of look at it like that. Like I want to see someone that's great at their craft that inspires me. I want to be better than them. I want to be better than that book. I want to be better than this story or that. I want to create something better. So it just kind of keeps me on my toes and just makes me more motivated. Seeing these great writers. There's so many people out there that are
Oh,
just phenomenal now.
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
You guys talk about so many of them every week. It just kind of keeps me fueled, keeps me going. Keeps me
And there's
motivated.
more people every week. I feel like we keep finding new people. And that's the joy of
Yeah.
having a love for something like literature or the arts or anything. There's just
Yeah.
constantly people creating things, and there are many duds in this world, but there's a lot of brilliant things that come out of that. So I always see like different people pass around things that are like make bad art. Like you should make bad art. Everybody should be making bad art.
Yeah.
You
Do
have
what
to get
do
there.
what you love. There's gonna be shit in there, and there's
Yep.
gonna be something brilliant that comes out of it somehow.
Yep. For sure.
Oh, yeah,
Get it
there's-
out.
There's so many things I've written and thrown away. I mean, like I've written so many like full 90,000 word manuscripts that was 2 years of my life gone. and move on. It's not going to get done. That was terrible. What was I thinking? Um, that's happened quite often. So when you get the good ones, it feels really good.
I will say one thing about Every Variable of Us. While I was reading it, and I don't know if this is the right phrasing, it read very like cinematically. Like it felt like I could see it in live action
Oh yeah.
as I was
do you hear
reading.
that, Netflix?
Oh yeah.
Get on that.
I agree. This is something you read. It's like, oh yeah, this could be adapted for TV or the movie for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
It read very like the pacing is wonderful.
Mhm.
We're just fans. So.
Yeah.
Who would you cast as Alexis?
Oh,
I say this because
I'm not
often-
I'm not good at this game because I don't know who anybody is.
Okay, that's right. You don't watch TV.
I
so-
don't watch TV.
Hmm.
I just watch Tom Hiddleston doing things because he's sexy.
Oh well, there's nothing
I'm
wrong
gonna
with-
have to
with
think
Loki.
about this one. Yeah. Yeah.
We,
for
we
sure.
I'll give you a little hint what we were doing. So when I don't know if our cover artist Ka Dangani, she's excuse me.
Shout out to that person.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
the cover is beautiful.
Ka, they are incredible, so incredible. I love them so much. So they asked me, how do you want Alexis to look? How should she look? So I told them, I said, listen, I want her to kind of look like Zendaya in Euphoria, but not as like cracked out.
Right.
So I sent Ka a picture of Zendaya, like actually from Spider-Man: Homecoming, not even from Euphoria. But it was when she was in her hoodie and she was like at her like STEM thing.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't STEM; it was like a science fair in that movie. But and I was like, that's what Alexis kind of would look like. So they kind of created it off of that. So I think if I had to cast someone off the top of my head, someone like Zendaya-esque, I think she might be a little bit too old now to play it.
Yeah, I mean, that was in my head, but I wasn't going to say it because I just love her and I would just put her in anything. So I'm very
Right,
biased. I just think she's an incredible actress and I love watching her grow into her craft. I love watching her work. So Yeah, but she may be a little bit too old. Although
Yeah,
she could still play very
I was gonna
young
say
because in
she's still
Euphoria,
but she's
she
still in Euphoria and she's still in
yeah
Spider-Man. They're both high
yeah.
school movies and shows. So.
If a chicken do it, Zendaya,
Right,
Zendaya.
All right,
you can do
you've
it.
cast it.
And then for Amani, I gave Kyle a lot of like see this is where my mind goes when I'm writing things. In fact, for whenever I write, I have like a character list like sheet, and I so as I'm writing, I create a character. I'll have them down. Okay, Amani, she's this, she's that, she's da 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 da. She's like this person, and then so forth. So when it came to giving Kyle some reference for Amani, I sent Kyle pictures of the character from Never Have I Ever, the Mindy Kaling show on Netflix. It's
I don't think I haven't
oh, it's
watched that
so
yet.
good. It's so good. But it's about a young Indian Hindu
Okay.
teen, and she is like a little bit more than Amani. Amani's a little bit more tame, but I'm like I could see her doing it. She has the chops. She could pull it off. So
I don't know how to say her name.
I don't know
But
her name either. I just know she's amazing on the show.
Wow. Yeah, this is easily adaptable and it would play so well.
It really would.
So, the way they're gobbling up these books and turn them into shows, here's hoping.
Hey,
Here-
Tessa.
Here's hoping. Seriously.
She just keeps buying stuff every day. I swear.
Well, now Tessa's getting
Yeah,
in that game
Tessa's
too,
like
right? She's like, oh
Constantly
yeah.
buying something. I say it like we're her friends. Tessa, yeah.
Well, Tessa, Tessa, so yeah.
I'm over here looking at Willow Smith, like maybe you could
Well,
do
because Willow is the ultimate
and she's
badass.
young, and she's young,
Yeah, I
like
can see
she's
Willow.
young enough,
I can
like,
see Willow.
and she is a badass. I've got
She's a badass. I just
got
really want to
short
be at
hair
one of her
Willow.
concerts.
long hair Willow.
Shaved head Willow.
Willow.
She
like-
just Willow is a vibe all day long.
Yeah,
She's a vibe. She is so talented.
she really is.
So talented.
I don't think I've ever seen Willow act in anything though. Has she in any movies or any shows? I know.
She-
Obviously, Jade isn't. He's in.
She
I have no idea.
She has not. She has not. But I have faith in her.
Okay.
All right, Willow, if you get this, don't screw it up.
I have faith in her.
we need you
Or
to do this.
perhaps she can work on the soundtrack for
Oh.
the upcoming. I'm already
We're
putting this
just-
into
We're
existence.
dreaming big. We are dreaming big.
Maybe
We're
she
putting
could
that
do
out
the
there in the
That's
soundtrack.
another thing. Again, because like I've been told that actually a lot of writers do this. This is what my editor told me when I told her this. But every book I write too, I keep like a playlist on my like Spotify account that is like the soundtrack to that book. So like this is what the soundtrack would be if it was a movie or something.
Yes.
So I have one for every variable of us, and it's a mixture of like Bollywood and like rap and
Love
things
it.
like that. So
And will you
even-
share that when the book comes out?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, please do.
if you want to look at it now, you can look at it now. I think, but I'll
Yeah.
probably wait to make it public until the book came out, so people wouldn't get spoiled. Because one of the songs that is played at a certain time is actually on the playlist as well.
That'd be great. I know who did that. Mexican Gothic did that.
A lot of people do it.
I think I like that. That's a great idea. I love that.
You can listen along while you read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it gets you in the vibe, and
Absolutely.
I like a lot of times I would listen to it just to like almost dream this into existence. Like, man, come on, imagine that last scene and this playing. Like, this would be perfect, So I have such imagination. All I do is just daydream. I don't know how I get anything done actually.
Well, you're getting a lot done.
You're getting a lot more done than I think I get done in a day.
Yeah.
So do you have any tips for young writers, or what advice would you give to, or old writers, anybody who wants
Aspiring
to
writers.
create? That's a better word, aspiring.
I think I would say just kind of take a book, take a piece of paper, take a pencil, and just put words on that, and they create something, something like that. I don't know. I mean, I would say like, for me, if you're gonna write something, do it because you want to tell a story. Because you have something inside you that needs to be told. Don't just do it to do it. Don't just do it like, oh, I can get famous, or I like that movie. I'll write a book just like that because that'll be cool. That's hot right now. Like,
Yeah.
Do it because you have something inside of you that's screaming to come out. Whatever that story is, it can be about anything. And just write. And then write every day, whether it be a sentence to, 75 pages, doesn't matter. Just write something every day. Let that creativity just kind of air out every day. That's something my mentor told me, and it's done me well. And because once you start writing something, a lot of times you'll find you kind of keep going.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't just stop with one thing. You kind of, all right, I can see this going here. So I would say just do it. And then once you start, if you really want it, don't give up, no matter what. No matter what, you can't. Because once you do, that's when you're defeated. And you know,
Yeah.
I think the writer, and Catherine Stockholm, I think, of The Help. I think that's how you pronounce it.
That sounds, yeah.
Completely wrong. I know it's Catherine something, I think. I could be completely wrong about that. But I read an article interview she did, and she said, my advice to writers would be finish what you start, because if you start writing and you put into your desk, put in that drawer, that's it. It's never going to come out. It's never going to get finished. It's like just do it. Don't stop until it's done. Put your heart into it. Put everything you got into it, and just kind of let the chips fall where they may, and just never stop. Yeah. If you love it, you can't stop. You won't be able to.
Yeah, it's a labor of love.
Yeah. I feel like that was terrible advice, and I did not help
No.
anyone.
Oh, no, it's good advice.
I'm so
You know
sorry.
how many people they just won't put one word on paper?
Well, I have a few.
Yeah, you do have a few, but some people never actually begin the process of writing. So
it's hard to take those first steps.
Yeah.
For sure. Once you start, it is harder to stop once you get going.
And you're gonna get rejected. That's one thing you should know. I don't care who you are. You're gonna get rejected. Everyone's gotten rejected. F. Scott Fitzgerald's gotten rejected. Jane Austen's, I think it
Got
was,
rejected a lot.
right, I think it was.
Yeah.
Was it Sense and Sensibility or Pride and Prejudice? One of them she published under almost like self-published essentially back then, because even after she had success with her first book, they were like
Pride and Prejudice, because I believe Sense and
it? It might
Sensibility
be,
was
yeah.
her first one that came out. Oh my God, you're trivia me here.
Yeah, I know if they can go through it, you definitely can.
yeah, perseverance for sure.
I mean,
You know what I want to know? Where were you and what were you doing when you got the call or the letter letting you know that your book was finally at a publishing house?
Where was I? I was in my house here. I'm like, ever since I started trying to get an agent back in 2013, with my old book that is terrible. We'll never slide day. We already spoke about this book. It's awful.
it might not be terrible. It's just
pretty
not
bad.
its time.
It's pretty bad. In fact, I often kind of look at it and I just go,
I'm trying to be positive.
wow.
Wow.
Listen, my mom absolutely adores it, and I always say like, oh my God, Mom, like don't just no. It's so soapy and just tropey and cliche. And just, I don't know.
But people love stuff like
I know
that.
what they do, and I listen. I respect everyone who does enjoy it. The people who have read it and enjoyed it, I love you guys, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. But that I just don't see myself writing anything like that again. Anyways, I was in my house. And I was just checking my email, because I check it like obsessively since 2013, because I'd always send out agent queries. And as soon as I would get one, my phone would vibrate like, oh, new query. You've been rejected. You've been rejected. You've been rejected. You've been rejected. So I think I celebrated more when I made the decision to go with Christopher, only because it was so hard to get an agent. And to your question, I don't think I answered it, but you have to have an agent to get the publisher.
Mm-hmm.
These big publishing houses,
Okay.
they won't look at anything unsolicited. So if you don't have an agent,
I see.
you're not getting through the door. And that that's tough, you know, because you want to be with the big boys, you know. So I I had to get the agent first, and that was hard the first time around because that book didn't do anything. So when I wrote A Very Little Less, though, however, I started querying in like June. I want to say June, and by like July, I was already getting multiple agents going, "Oh my God, yes, like let's do it." And I saw Rainbow, I saw Christopher, and I queried him, and he didn't respond to me. Like most of them don't respond to you, honestly. They don't even say like, "Oh, this sucks." Like no,
Wow.
they just don't say anything at all. And I got a bunch of people saying, "Let's do it, let's do it." Had a bunch of meetings. I liked what I was hearing, and I just queried Christopher again. I followed up, "Hey, just want to let you know I got a couple offers, so speak now, forever hold your peace." And then he got back to me like an hour later, and he's like, "Oh my God, don't do anything. Give me like a day. I finished reading this. Like I started, I love it so far. Like let me just finish." So I did that. I'm like, "Oh yeah, of course." I played it cool, by the way. I was like,
Good.
I mean, I guess I can give you. Let me give you a
You
second.
gotta play the game.
Right. But in my head, I was like, "Oh my God, Christopher Shelley wants to read my book." So when he got back, he was like, "Oh yeah, I love it. I want to do it. I know you got other offers. Like take your time to think about it." I was like, "Yeah, Will, thank you." Got off the phone. I'm like, I'm doing it with Christopher. I'm going. And it was hard because I did like a couple of other agents that I'm still friends with now. I still talk to now. Like when I sold A Very Little Less, they emailed me and texted me and like, "Oh my God, congratulations! I'm so proud of you. I love this book. I can't wait to read it."
Yeah.
And I love them for that. And it was so hard not to go with them.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I looked at Christopher and his resume and like everything he's done, all the people he's represented. I'm like, this is it. I can't. I may never get this shot again.
Mm.
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna. I'm gonna Alexander Hamilton this. I'm not throwing away my shot. Like I'm
Yeah,
taking
shoot your
it,
shot.
Yeah.
So, I, I I was really excited with that. I celebrated a lot when Christopher, you know, said yes. But when I got the call for Flux, I had a good meeting, and this is where the pessimist kind of hurts you because
Uh-oh.
we've gone through a lot of meetings. In fact, we had one editor we met with. They said this is a unicorn. Those are their words. This is a unicorn. This book I've never seen. This book is going to be so big. We're definitely doing this. Let me just run this to my team. We should get back to you with an offer within a couple of days. Christopher's like, "Oh, you got it. Let's start doing the rounds so people let them know, hey, we got something going."
Yeah.
And they came back and are like, "Yeah, the board just decided to pass on it. For whatever reason. I forget why, but and Chris was like, that usually doesn't happen. Like if they're that enthusiastic about it in our interview, that's their job. Like they go to that room with those other members and say, hey, this is
They
why
fight
this is
for
great.
it.
Right, and if they're that
Mhm.
enthusiastic, they usually don't pass it down because like, oh crap, you're really enthusiastic about this thing.
Yeah.
So that kind of threw us off. We had another couple meetings like that. Every time we had a meeting, just kept falling through at the last minute. Every time we get to that last stage, that usually when you get to that stage, it's a done deal. We kept
Right.
falling. So then when I got the Flux, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we had a great meeting. They wanted to do it." They're like, "We'll send it over an offer." We're like, "Oh, I'm sure. I'll believe when I see it." I didn't get too high, didn't get too low. In fact, I probably got too low because I was like, "Aren't you excited? Like that meeting went so well." I'm like, "No, not really. I mean, they're probably gonna say they hate it for whatever reason." And then when I got the email saying, "Here's the offer," I was like, "Oh my God." So then I went to Christopher and like we talked about it, and he's like, "I got a lot of things I want to change about it." So he's going back and forth like negotiating things as agents do.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Don't piss him off. Like, just, whatever they
Ruin
want to give us,
it.
just give it to us so we can just get this done before they change their mind." And he's like, "No, trust me, this is how it works. They want it, and we'll work it out." And he did that, and the converse is history. Then that's when I celebrated. Once it was finally official, the the ink's dried, the papers have been signed. There's no turning back now. Otherwise, you gotta
Yeah.
pay me my money anyways.
Yes.
That's when I was like, okay, we can celebrate. And we really,
That-
we really like didn't celebrate that much. If I'm being honest with you, I think the celebration started coming when you guys did like the cover reveal. That when I saw it out in the world and people
Yeah.
reacting to it, just the cover, that's when it started hitting me like, oh crap, this is real. Like
Yeah.
It's
I did
happening.
it. I'm
It's
here.
happening.
You really are birthing a book, sir. It is
Right, like
coming out.
Yeah.
I'm a part of this industry. I'm a part of this world. Like people are gonna see this. They're gonna see these characters. They're gonna
Yeah.
love them. Some people are gonna hate them. You know, like
Hmm.
it's here, and I'm just so honored to be a part of it. I'm just ready to go to work for all the people who buy the book. Like know that this is not the end of what I'm gonna do. Like there's gonna be so
Right.
much more coming. I can't wait to do it for you guys. Like
Yay.
that's what gets me going in the morning. Like knowing that people can connect these characters, that is championing these communities, championing
Mhm.
representation. I'm going to continue to do that as I go forward, you know. So,
I love it.
but trust me, when I can hold it in my hand and I have that first hard
You
copy,
smell it.
that advanced copy they give me, that's when
Yeah.
I probably will just, I don't even know.
Probably just melt.
What you know what? I lie. I completely lied because there was a colleague of mine. Um, her name's Judy. I give her acknowledgement in the end of the book. She passed away in 2016. I know this for a fact because she hates Trump with every fiber of her being, like most people do,
Mm-hmm.
or most sane people, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Qualify that.
And I remember she was so just such a big supporter. She worked in my day job, and I would like go into her office after hours. I would just rant, just rant about I can't find an agent. I'm never gonna make it. Fitzgerald was famous. He wrote Gatsby at 25. I can't even write anything at 26. Like what the hell's going on with me? I suck. It's never gonna happen. And she's like, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. Keep at it. She would surprise me with like cards that you would give someone like it had Superman on it. She's like, you're a superhero in writing. Don't worry. One day they'll know your name. And I still have that on my desk. I have a magnet she gave me that says "Shoot for the moon and you'll reach the stars." Things like that. She gave me a mug. Never give up. Never surrender. The whole
Oh man,
Winston
so
Churchill quote.
encouraging.
Like she was always just backing me, no matter how low I got.
She's your Amani.
Yes, she was always picking me up, and so when she passed away in 2016, it like really, it definitely hurt a lot because she was
Mhm.
like so important to my life, in that regard.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And when I called her son, and I said, I want to put Judy, I want to give her a shout out at the end of the book and thank her for everything she's done. And he was like, oh my God, she would love that. And that's when it hit me. I just started crying, like, because I was
Yeah.
like, we did it. Like, we did it. Like, you said I would do it.
Yeah.
We did it. You never gave up on me. You never faltered. And that's when, like, it really hit me that we're doing it, that this was real.
Yeah.
I started calling people, telling them, like, hey, I'm going to give you a shout out in the acknowledgement section, like, holy crap, this is really coming out, like,
Yeah.
so.
You really did it.
Yeah.
It's a real book.
It's a real book.
It is.
And it's
real
and it's a
book.
real
Really good
damn
book.
good book.
Oh, thank you guys.
We you have at least 2 fans.
Right. That's a start.
You're starting with us. And I'm sure there will be many, 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 many,
Yeah.
many, many more.
Yeah.
I'm
It is-
such a nerd, so I can't wait to see like people do, like their own drawings of what they think Amani and
Yeah.
like and things like that. Like that would be so cool to me to see things like that.
Absolutely. And all the cover recreations
Yes,
and
all that,
all
kind
that
of
good stuff. And when people do their post on who they cast for the characters and
Yeah.
all that good old Bookstagram goodness.
Yes. That give me that. I
Yeah.
want all of that. And I would love to engage with every single person that wants to talk about stuff like
For
that.
sure. For sure.
Yeah.
That's one thing I say this now, and God willing, it will come to pass. But you look at some of these authors, and I mean, they're big time. Like Rainbow, for instance, she's huge. I mean,
Do you know how many copies of Fangirl I have?
do you? I've actually never read Fangirl. I fell in love with Eleanor and Park. Like that was my
I love Fangirl.
that was my book right there. I've always saw Fangirl. Isn't it like isn't Carry On and all her
That's so the main character in Fangirl writes fan fiction that is Carry On.
right? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'd never read those, but I've only read like Element. I love it. I love that book so much. Um, so I want to get to a point where like people are just so in love with these characters that they just want to follow them, like how you were saying, Naomi,
Mhm.
like how you guys want to just keep following where they go, and they just
Matthew
become, like,
becomes
a
an
living
actuary.
Right.
I'm
Oh.
telling you, that's his job.
And you know what's funny about Matthew? I hate Lord of the Rings so much, man. Like, it's so boring.
That's hilarious.
It's so boring. Like I'm a Star Wars guy through and through, and you know when Amani says something about Star Trek, and Star
Trekkies.
Wars, that's me. You know, like I can quote Star Wars. I can go into the lore of Star Wars for days and days and days, and tell you why certain characters do certain things, and why certain movies are better than others, and certain fan fiction works better than certain things that are canon. I can go on and on. So it's just funny because I had to do so much research for Lord of the Rings, and my friend Kara, she's actually a big Lord of the Rings fan, so she actually helped me out a lot too when she read it for the sensitivity read for
Yeah.
autism. She's like, "Oh, I actually love Lord of the Rings. Like, how did you not tell me about?" In fact, that's how I even got her the sensitivity read because I told her about my book, and she's like, "Wait, there's an autistic character in your book?" I'm like, "Yeah." He loves Lord of the Rings. I'm like, "Yeah." You know, I love Lord of the Rings. And I have an autistic sister, and I work in an autistic community. Like, oh my god. So
This is perfect.
yeah,
Perfect
it was
pairing.
perfect. It was definitely
Exactly.
perfect.
No, I live with a Lord of the Rings lover, and I
Do you?
I like the movies. I just have no interest in
I don't fall asleep in movies.
stories.
Like I never do. I fell asleep in every single Lord of the Rings movie. That's a
Oh.
true story. In theaters.
Ooh.
I would wake up when the action starts, but when they do nothing but walk. It's a walking simulator. They
Well,
just
that's
walk.
the entire book is a journey.
Yeah.
So, like that was some of the stuff that was hard for me for Eye of the World. Was there's just so much journeying, and I don't know if that's my favorite thing in fantasy. Is just journeying. Like I need you to do something.
Yeah.
Right.
I
thing is,
can't just
Tolkien-
travel.
Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, they went to a little pub in Oxford that we used to go to, like after class and stuff, to get like drinks and just talk literature and talk
Mm-hmm.
characters and writing, and we'd always sit in their booth, and I'm like, it's so cool being here with these like man, think about how many stories were told between these two great writers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would think,
Yeah.
I hate both of these books so much. I hate the Narnia series. I hate the Lord of the Rings series. Like, why can't we be in a pub where Jane Austen was? You know, or
Because
William
Jane Austen
Shakespeare?
wouldn't have been allowed in the pub.
Right, I know. Amen to that.
I'm sure you can find a few pubs where Hemingway wrote. You can
Oh,
hang out there.
that is funny.
Yeah, and he fought probably as well.
Yeah, I love me some Hemingway. I know he's a misogynistic asshole, but I love him so much.
Right. Trust me, I do as well. My youngest brother, Sean, he loves Hemingway. That's one of his favorite writers. And I love Hemingway too. I have a lot of stuff. But we
He
both
has-
agree on this thing. He cannot write females for anything. He
Well,
just
no,
can't write
because
female characters.
he's a misogynistic asshole. But
Exactly.
he has an economy of language, which is
Yes.
beautiful.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love A Sun Also Rises.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably my favorite one by him. I have a couple first editions Hemingways. By the way, I say this
What?
like I'm rich.
Wow.
I'm not. What I do is I find these books in like crappy book fairs, that people don't know.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have.
yeah.
They're like,
Uh-huh.
oh, I'll take this off your hands for $40. Oh, sure, $40. Take it. Yeah, this old book. It's in the attic for years. I was like, oh, it's first edition Hemingway. Without the
Yeah.
dust jacket, of course. None of those.
Well, of course, nothing has dust jacket anymore.
Right.
No.
Like
No.
that was I told myself when I get published with my advance, I'm going to go buy first edition Gatsby. That's it.
Ooh.
Little did I know.
They're
would
very
not-
expensive.
I would not make that much money when I got published for the first time. So,
You
I'm not
can
buying-
buy, I think, who's the publisher that does the folios and manuscripts? I'm sorry, not the folios. Who does the manuscripts? Eric Carl Anderson's always showing them, but I'm fairly
the-
certain they have a Gatsby one.
They do. That's like $100 or so. I could get
Yeah,
that.
I
but
mean,
I already have like 5 copies of Gatsby. 'Cause that's like one of my favorite novels of all time. I read it like
Mm-hmm.
once a year. So I don't want like another not authentic version of Gatsby.
Okay, fine.
Got it.
This one
I
has to
was
be
trying.
I feel that. Okay.
I was trying.
yeah. I have so many of them. It's like you go to my Fitzgerald section on my bookshelf, and it's just all Gatsby, and then I have a first edition, Beautiful and the Damned,
Mm.
Ooh.
and I have A Tender as the Night as well.
Oh, I have a beautiful copy of Tender as the Night. I love it
I don't
so much.
even know where my copy of Gatsby has run off to.
I mean that's so iconic. The cover, the dust jacket. It's just
I
I want to get it tattooed. I just don't
Do
know
it.
where. I will.
Do it.
It's just that costs money too. These are all
yeah,
things
everything.
I don't have.
The whole world costs money.
For
None of
sure.
us have any money.
For sure.
Right.
My money is sitting on my shelves, quite literally, depreciating in value
Tell me about it.
rapidly.
Oh my god! All my money goes to this. There's this rare bookstore that I go to, and I go in, and as soon as I come in, they go. They actually have a Gatsby.
Mhm.
And in fact, I would go in. I used to go in once a week, and I would just sit in the back, and she would take it down from like it's behind the counter, so people can't steal it. She would hand it to me. I'd go in the corner. I would just read from it. And I was like, oh
Aw.
god, I can't believe this is real. Like this is a real first edition, with the misspellings and the errors and everything.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'd be so scared. I'd be
I know
so
that.
scared.
That's the thing.
Ooh, don't want to touch it.
Right.
Right before you came on, I like dropped my iPad and was telling Naomi about like all the things that were like exploding at work yesterday. I should not touch first editions is what
Oh no.
should occur. Like, I will break it.
What do you guys? I know you probably don't, Melissa, but do you guys watch the show You on Netflix?
Yes.
Oh, you? I've watched you.
Okay.
Come on.
Well, that
Psychopath
scene
who
where-
reads.
This new
He
season's
reads
crazy.
and kills people. I have not watched the new one yet. I've
Okay.
only. Oh,
What-
there's Jesus.
So, there's a scene in the
Hello,
third
Jesus.
season where it's not a big spoiler, but they have a baby because that happens at the
Yeah,
end of the second
we know they
season.
have a baby.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's reading the baby. First off, he's an idiot for doing this, but he's reading him a first edition Gatsby with the dust jacket, and the baby throws up on it in his hands. I'm just like, oh no! Like people die on that show, and I don't react. But when the baby throws up on the first edition Gatsby, I lost my
You're
damn
like,
mind.
no.
Oh my god, I lost my mind. I'm like,
That
"What?"
I will binge watch one weekend. That I will
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, it's-
Probably
it's a-
before
it's a
I watch
fun
Gilmore
show.
Girls.
It's definitely a
It is.
fun
It
show.
is very, very fun. The season 3 is
Entertaining.
bonkers.
Yeah.
They're
it's
like the
bonkers.
first two were bonkers, so I expect nothing less.
Well,
But
when bonkers marries bonkers, it's just like
It's just like a
It's more
shit show.
bonkers.
exactly.
Season 2 was really good.
At this point, I don't know who's worse.
Right. Right.
Isn't that the point?
Well, yes, yes. I actually just bought the book to you because I'm just curious, like how it reads versus watching the show. So
How is it?
I haven't read it yet, but I just bought it.
I have it whenever
That's
you're
the
ready.
story of a reader, right? We buy all these books. It's like I haven't read it
I
yet,
know.
but I now own it. Yeah.
We always end up both
That-
buying books and then not reading them. The same books. We'll be like, we're gonna buddy read this. Then we don't.
And then we
Have
went
you
to
guys
something
started
else.
your,
Yeah.
your read along with Ulysses yet?
Oh my God.
Because I started
I
reading
don't
that.
understand.
I can't.
Like-
I understand why Hemingway and Fitzgerald and all those greats were so obsessed with it, because especially having written a book and having an editor edit a book, I now understand why they're so obsessed with it. And I told my brother this. I said it just clicked because I tried reading that thing. I got like 400 pages in. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I have no idea what's going on. But I know now because everything he does in that book is so unconventional and it makes no sense. It's like jazz, as
Yeah,
Thomas
and
Wolfe describes it. It's just jazz. It's just wherever he wants to go, he goes.
yeah.
And guess what? I can tell you right now, an editor did not do anything because he's James Joyce. He's like, yeah, let's print it as is. So I think that's why Hemingway and Fitzgerald liked it so much, because Max Perkins, their editor, they would like go in on their stuff, to make it perfect. Like, oh, we gotta take this out. Red line through this, red line through that, cut this, cut that, killing all your darlings. But with James Joyce, it's like no one killed his darlings. Why can't we do that? So I think that's why they loved it so much. That's
Yeah.
my theory, anyways.
There are like moments because I've been listening to it. I've only made it like 100 pages because I don't know what the hell is going on, and there are moments where I get lost because there's like a lyricalness sometimes to just the way the words are put together, and they sound really, the sounds are wonderful, but my brain isn't connecting any words to meanings to anything. And then I realize that several minutes have gone by and I have no idea what's going on. I've just been lulled into like a stupor of words, and I'm absolutely baffled. And then I'll go and I'll read because I downloaded the Spark Notes too because I was like, Naomi, I need to understand this.
Right.
And then I'll read what I was supposed to have read, and I'm like, where does it say any of this? And like, how did you write this guide? Like, you could be lying to me right now, and I would just accept it because I don't know what's happening.
Right.
That being said, I want to get through this. So if I get through it before this year ends, or by the time the year ends, I'll be happy.
We're trying.
Yeah.
Am I a little further ahead of you still, or have you picked it up?
You're ahead of me because I haven't picked it up since I started it. But that's my own fault. So
When I listened to
it
the
is
bodies of
scary.
that, I was like, so I'm like, oh, they're gonna, you know what? If they're gonna do it, I'll jump on board with them. I'll try to jump back into it. And then I tried it for like a day. I was like, I don't know. I mean, they got this. This is their profession. Nothing.
My theory is that Joyce was just like, I feel like he was punking everybody, and he just wrote this whole book, and it's this whole modernist crazy thing, and he's doing all these different writing styles throughout, and he's throwing in all these literary references, trying to make it like there's this big great allegory, and so people can spend decades dissecting this novel, and it's just nonsense. It's just absolute nonsense. He's like, haha, he's somewhere, he's sitting whatever you believe in an afterlife, he's just sitting and laughing at all the foolish people that are trying to find great meaning out of his word salad, his artfully created word salad.
I think if he was alive, he probably would say that. He probably would say exactly that if he was alive. It's like John Lennon with like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. He's Beatles fan here, by the way, if you don't know. He's like, oh, what does cuckoo cuckoo mean? He's like,
it sounded nice.
Right. He's like, it rhymed. He's like, people.
I was high that day.
It's like this poetry. It sounded good.
Yeah.
Because the Dubliners doesn't feel that way, his other writing is approachable.
Yes, and people like his other writing.
I love the Dubliners. That's what got me going. Ooh, let's go. Let's do this. Ulysses. That's good. And people swear about this. This must be it. And I read that, and I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Was it a portrait of an artist? Isn't that
as a young man? Yeah.
Yeah. People told me I need to read that because it's about a coming of age story, which that's my genre. That's what I love. That's what I read most. And I read that, and I was like, this is not really YA. Like, I know you guys say it is, but not really.
It's old timey YA.
Right,
when
like
you were married and chain
old-timey
smoked,
Right.
drank a lot of whiskey at 12.
Right? Like, back in the day, what you did at 13 or 14 and 15 is not what you would do today as a 13, 14, 15-year-old. Was much more in earlier days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you could be married at 15 and like start a family. Like, what?
And nobody blinked an eye.
Exactly. So, we realize you shouldn't be marrying off teenagers, but okay.
I know. I mean, we think about that because like I said, I'm a huge Beatles person, so I listen to the Beatles like every day. If I listen to music, it's usually like the Beatles. So you listen to like something like I Saw Her Standing There, and the first line is like, she was just 17, you know what I mean? And we're like, whoa, Paul, you can't do that anymore, man. Like, not cool, dude. I know the 60s were a different time, but, certain things don't age well,
A lot of things age like milk in this world.
Exactly. Well, we're coming up on 2 hours. Do you want to ask another question before we ask him the last 3 questions about books?
Sure. I think.
I'm gonna turn on my
All
light.
right.
Sorry, because I look
If
like I'm in a cave right now. There we go.
okay, I'll go like mushy or whatever. Sentimental. If you could write a letter to 17-year-old Charles, knowing everything you know now, what would you say to him?
Oh, that's a great question. Wow. You know, I thought you guys were gonna like give me questions before we came on.
Yeah, I don't do anything. It's my fault probably
That's
because
okay.
I do everything last minute. I'm the procrastinator.
That's a great question.
Naomi's prepared.
I think I kind of already talked about. I would definitely tell myself, hey, I know exactly what I would tell myself because there's so many things I did not do, and was scared to do because of how I was raised and what I was told in my community that was not accepted, and a lot of it's still not accepted today. So first, I would say, hey man, basketball isn't the end all be all. Like, you know what? You're gonna end up liking school a lot. So much so, even though you're gonna graduate from college, you're gonna want to go to 4 more years of school. Can you believe that? I'm not joking. So like actually pay attention, dude. It'd be fun. And you know those books? You know when they give you the assignments in class, or like, hey Charles, today I want you to read chapter 5 of The Secret Garden. And then I go home and my mom will go, you got homework? I'm like, nope. Because they want me to read and they can't quantify that when I get back to school next day. There's no way they knew if I read it or not. Therefore, I have no homework. So actually do your reading, dude. Like you might end up liking these books.
Yeah.
I'll definitely tell them that. But also tell them that, hey, I know it's scary. I know your friends are going to make fun of you for it. I know it may take you to a dark place for a little bit because no one's really going to accept you for it. But love who you want to love, like what you want to like, and don't apologize for it. That goes for your, you know, relationships. That goes for the books you like. That goes for the movies you like, everything. Don't apologize. That goes for what you want to wear. In fact, on my shirt here it says "Let boys be feminine." Like,
Yes.
if you like that pink shirt, if you like that, you know, crop top, buy that damn crop top and wear that crop top and show that belly button. Let the world see it. You know, I would have worn a crop top, funny enough, but I did take my shirt off at any chance I could get. You know? That's a true story. I once took it off in a bar. Very true story. It actually was a restaurant. We were sitting down eating, and I was with my friend, and there was a bunch of people there. And at the other end of the table, I was like, man, I need to get that person's attention. Like, I want to get their phone number before I leave here. And like, well, they're at the other end of the table, dude. You can't fit in there. I'm like, I'll just take my shirt off. And my friend's like, you won't. Not in this restaurant. I'm like, shh.
I will.
Ripped it right off. Sat there like an idiot, looking like an absolute idiot. So that's a true story. That happened.
So I did that.
So I definitely tell him just to live it and love it, because there's so many things I loved and I wanted to love. I just felt so ostracized for it because that wasn't what you're supposed to like, because I was black, because I was an athlete, you know. And I can't tell you, even to this day, when I tell people I'm a writer, it blows their freaking mind. They're like, wait, what? You write? You work out every day. Writers don't work out every day.
Supposed to be the dumb jock. Actually, Murakami runs like 10 miles or something every morning. So, you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
there you go.
just writers move.
Exactly. You know, come on, give me some credit here. And so that's what I would tell them. Definitely, just be yourself and don't be apologetic about it. Just love who you are and own it. Own that shit. Own it.
Love it.
Sorry, I don't know if I can curse on here. I feel like I curse.
I curse all the. I actually have been good. So
yeah,
no,
she hasn't.
I've been
F-bombs
very
today.
good. I pretty much like predominantly speak in F-bombs. So
The last time I heard you curse, I think it was when you were talking about JK.
Yeah.
Yeah, that episode. I remember that.
so much disappointment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. I
And
literally.
then Margaret Atwood's coming out trying to put. So she's like,
Did she?
I don't
No
know.
way.
I feel like she just made
I
a.
haven't heard that. I haven't heard that.
So she reshared or she tweeted out an article that like an op-ed piece that somebody wrote about whether or not the word woman is being phased out of our language. And there's a lot of discussion in that article itself around transgender issues that is not very good. And
Making sense.
and I think when it was shared with me, my first thought was, well, what did she say? And I was like, okay, so she shared an article, and I was like, so what did the article say? And then I found the article, and I was like, okay, well, maybe they're just having a debate on language, right? Because like that's a perfectly normal thing for writers to have a debate on.
Absolutely.
And then what the person who wrote the article is saying is very questionable. And it
Wow.
either Margaret Atwood didn't really read the article, or she feels this way. So
You
it's
hate to see it.
yeah.
I mean, we're
So-
tired of seeing it. How about that? We're tired
Yeah,
of seeing
tired
it.
of-
and we're
that's
tired of
about it.
hearing it. And I think I'm never really going to understand why someone else's choices about who they identify as bothers you. What bother you?
Right.
It's not going to affect you in any way whatsoever. Just leave people alone.
Because I
Leave
think
her
it may.
alone.
I don't think that people like having their beliefs questioned, and they hold on to
Yes.
these hates so hard. And when you take them away, suddenly they have to find something else to hold on to, and it's so unsettling, and it's gonna take us so long to make change.
Well,
that-
especially now, because so much of what was maybe on the precipice of being reformed has just been completely unraveled.
yeah,
Which is really, really sad.
this is our post-Trump world, so
Exactly.
And
It's really sad.
it doesn't help.
we're getting
that-
political now.
Right, right. We are.
But books are political,
you know,
so
it's. I can't tell you how many like times I've had a conversation with, like a family member, since my book has come to light, and they're like, yeah, so I mean, I mean, like, I know you're gay or whatever. I'm like, not, like there's a difference. Like
Differences.
sexuality is not, you know what I mean? Like that's not how I identify. It's like people don't really understand it.
Right.
I don't really get on the people I know that are in that community that much for that, because it's just how they were raised.
Mhm.
Like my
Yeah.
friend I was telling you about earlier, I love him to death. I still talk to him. I love the fact that he's asking me these questions and he wants to learn about it and better himself with it. And I respect the hell out of him for
Mhm.
that, because I have friends who do not do that.
yeah.
They are very much the opposite of that. So I really do appreciate him doing that. And it's you gotta. It hurts my soul though when I hear that, because especially with like JK, that broke me, because it's
That broke
funny
a lot of
story.
people.
I know.
Because there's a lot of joy that came out of those books.
Mhm.
There's generations of people who grew up and learned to read or learned the joy and the love of reading through those books, and it's taken something that has. So like a book is you create a book and it's like two parts. You make the book, you write the book, you put you in your book, but then you put it in the world and the reader gets their chance to interact with it and shape it, and it's like it has a second life. And we did that with our books for so long, and then to find out that there's this tarnish around it,
Right.
it's just so disheartening.
It definitely.
It hurts.
And I actually, I'm gonna look him up on Instagram because I want to make sure I get his handle right, because people should definitely follow him because he's amazing. I'm sure you probably know, Greg's Library.
Yes, Greg's
I
library.
love Greg so much. So Greg,
We're talking about Greg's library. Naomi.
Oh, okay.
So Greg did a story a few months ago, maybe like 4 months, I can't remember, but this story, and it was all about him reading, something about J.K. Harry Potter in a YA book. He's like, I'm so sick of reading about this in YA books. Like, can we just stop making this a thing? And I read that, I was like, man, there's a lot of references to Harry Potter in my book.
Yeah.
They're not now because I took them out, but they were.
Yeah.
Because I loved Harry Potter. I grew up on it. I dressed as Harry for Halloween. You know what I mean? Like, I have Hermione's wand because I went to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Like, I didn't go to Disney World, loving everything Disney. I went to Harry Potter World because I love Harry Potter that much.
Loved Harry
Yeah.
Potter World. Loved
And it was a dream. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then, like, hearing Greg say that, I was like, you know what? Him break it down that way, I was like, okay, I agree. Like, I've already said, I'm not going to give her any more of my money. Like, that's not happening. I can still enjoy the stuff I already have because you can't take that away from me.
Exactly.
That's what I believe, or believed rather. And then when he broke it down, I was like, you know what? By just even referencing Hermione in my book, it's giving her this social, currency to keep her relevant. So maybe someone might read my book and go, "Oh, Hermione. Oh,
Yes.
let me check it out." So
Yeah.
then they go and read Harry Potter, and they're giving her money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's keeping her in the now, and I don't really want to contribute to that anymore. Like, I feel like she's done enough to show where her stance is, and I just don't agree with that stance.
She's made it
Absolutely.
quite clear.
She
And
just
her-
keeps on making it clear, doesn't she?
Quite
It's like,
clear.
Oh my God, no one asked you.
I think that was one of the
No
hard
one
things.
asked you.
No one asked you.
Exactly.
No.
No one asked you,
She
and
just
yet
keeps going.
you just feel the need to just putting out these random op-eds. Like,
Right,
lady,
right.
we get it. We get it. We know how
We
you
know
feel.
where you stand.
Thanks for telling us, and just go back and enjoy your piles of money. Just
Right.
buy.
You're gonna do fine. Just shush.
Right.
But I think a lot of people need to learn to just shush sometimes because
Well, isn't that the truth?
anyway, the
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
before Twitter was a very different place.
Oh man,
Oh, boy.
tell me about it.
Not everything needs to be put on the Twitter, but we have our personal relationships with certain stories, certain authors, certain things, and if they do something, then you can't take that personal thing away. But how we give our platforms our time and our voice, we have control over
Right.
that, and I can keep my memories, and I can have my things, but our time is not to like raise up that.
Right.
Right.
So thank Greg for that because there's no Harry Potter references in the book.
Thank
I
you,
was-
Greg.
Thank you, Greg, because that was actually one of the hard things when we read Felix Ever After, which I loved, was how much Harry Potter that is, and you could tell it was written like just like right before
Yeah.
sort of everything fell apart. So it's like right on the edge of everyone being aware of just how turfy she was.
Right.
So it definitely didn't strike the right chord, I guess, while you were reading those little bits. But the
It
rest of the
worked
book's
out.
fantastic. Love the book.
Everything
Love
I
the book.
changed it to, it actually worked for the better.
Good.
You guys read, so I can kind of, if you remember, she mentions that her and Britt used to get the Hunger Games books for
Mhm.
that used to be Harry Potter books at first.
Ah,
so I changed
okay.
that.
I like Hunger Games though. I think Hunger Games is better though.
It works so much better because, as she says, like, Katniss is one of us. Like, she's down for her blood,
Right.
she's down for her hood. She has her
Yeah.
home. Like, she'll do anything for her family. Like,
Yeah.
that's what we do. That's how we live.
Yeah.
So I thought it worked so much better. And
Yeah,
then
that
like
was a good change.
there was one thing that I missed, and when I reread my copy edit last week, I actually messaged Greg and I said, "I know you're not there yet in the book, but I missed one, and don't worry, it's getting taken out." And they laughed at it. So it sucked because I love Harry Potter so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
I mean, I can tell you there's a Hagrid right up there, but he doesn't show up on anything because
right.
I don't want to
know.
give the platforms for it, but they
Yeah.
exist.
It's
Yeah.
a shame that we have to it's a shame we have to do this.
It really
Anyway,
is a shame. Yeah.
That's
But
not
it's-
even, that wasn't even a
it's-
question. So
Her fault.
right.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
So-
now for the extra exciting part, these last 3 questions. Okay, 3 questions. What are 2 backlist books you love? What are two debut novels you recently read and loved? And what are two books you always recommend to people to read?
All right, well, I'll start with the last one 'cause that's the easiest one. Gatsby and Pride and Prejudice,
Okay.
all day of the week.
Check
Um,
and check.
Naomi finally read Gatsby this year.
I did.
although it depends on who the person is, honestly. Like if it's someone if I know the person more, I know what they like,
Mm-hmm.
and I know they like more of my taste, I will definitely I'll probably would throw Fault in Our Stars in there, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
probably try to squeeze that in. Or actually, you know what? I take it back. I'll say Looking for Alaska. I think I love Fault in Our Stars more, but I think
Yeah.
Looking for Alaska is a better book. I do.
Okay.
They're both amazing though. You can't go wrong with John Green. What was the other two? The other two was one that Blacklisted.
What are
Oh,
two
backlisted.
What are two
Backlisted.
backlist books you love?
Okay, like books that are you can't get
Like-
anymore.
Like
Oh,
old books.
you can get them, but they're old.
Okay.
Two old books.
Oh, well, I mean,
Yeah.
Gatsby and Pride and Prejudice.
Answer just keeps being
That's
Gatsby,
it.
Pride and Prejudice.
Just
If you didn't know, he really likes The
kids,
Great Gatsby
right,
and Pride
kids,
and Prejudice.
Just read Pride and Prejudice and Gatsby. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Yeah.
And
I will-
two debut novels that you
Two
love.
debut
Debut novels. I would say, what's one I read recently that just knocked my socks off? I want to give someone some love. 'Cause one of them I would say, I was Looking for Alaska. That was his first novel, and that thing was just incredible.
Now, he's really making me want to read John Green, and no one ever makes me want to read John Green.
No one ever makes me want to read John Green, she says. I like how the one I like is the one that apparently everybody doesn't. So now I'm like, well, I'm either going to fall in love or I'm going to be like, I hate this.
I like Turtles All the Way Down. I just think he has better characters. Another, like I think of Alaska Young. I think of, Hazel Grace Lancaster. I can think of these characters. I can't tell you the name of the character from Turtles All the Way Down. So
Yeah.
Do what you will with that. But I still love him. So
You're just not an overly anxious teenage girl is what the problem is.
Hazel is, so is Alaska.
Okay, well, I'll read them and then we'll talk about it.
What's another one? A debut. I want to do something a little bit.
Yeah, any debuts you read this year that you really loved?
I'm reading one now. It's too early to really.
But
I
do
wish
you
I could
love
pull up
it?
my Goodreads and I could tell you because I was just looking at when I recently finished reading. And I can tell you. Sorry, this is really anticlimactic. Wow, it's really bad. Your listeners are sitting there driving like, oh my god, this guy. Like, get your stuff together. Dude. How are we not prepared for this?
Because we didn't prepare you. We prepared you for nothing. Come on our show.
Okay, I'll do this then. I'll just throw it back to where it all began. I know this is not a technical. Does it have to be a literary book? Could it just be just a book?
Mm-hmm.
Just a book.
Okay.
A book.
Read the first trade paper of Miss Marvel by G. Willow Wilson. It's amazing.
Oh,
It's amazing.
All right.
okay.
I highly do that. I highly recommend that.
Okay.
She's such an amazing character. It's about a young Muslim teen from New Jersey, and she gets these amazing powers that she has to balance going to her culture and her heritage with also being this nerdy teen that is obsessed with the Avengers and obsessed with like video games and the American side of her.
Right.
And she has to kind of balance that. It's kind of like Peter Parker he has to balance being this reporter along with being a superhero. She has to do that with
Right.
her American side and also her Indian side. So definitely check that out.
Awesome.
Love
Okay.
it.
Yes. Okay, I see that. I've Googled that. Okay.
Yes, I'm deep in the Oh, who's calling me? Hold on. Sorry, manager. I have to talk to you later.
That's
Sorry.
awesome. Okay.
Sorry, my manager's calling me.
Well, I think I'm gonna have to get a John Green book from the library so I can
Yes, you
see
are.
what all this love is about. And I've never been curious about John Green. I've never had a desire to read John Green until this episode. So
Oh, good. Hey, listen, I hope John Green or his representatives are reading this or listening to this rather, because We're trying to get him to do a blurb right now. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Ooh,
Kendra.
get all the greens. Get where are the
Oh, you
greens?
love her so much. That would be so wonderful if you
I
blurbed your
know.
book.
I know. That's what I was telling our marketing team that are reaching out to him. I was like, just tell him this. Like, there's like a little note section I have to put for the people. I was like
Yeah.
suggesting. I was like, tell him I am his biggest fan. And to quote the Far Our Stars, like I would read his grocery list if that was an option. Like that's how much I would read him. So please.
Is he on Instagram and
please.
Twitter?
He is, but like most of those big authors, they will not respond to you if you DM those.
So
Hank
we're just
might.
gonna tag the hell out of him when we post the episode.
Please do.
Hank might
And
respond.
hey, you never know.
That's true. Hank might. Maybe I'll go that way. That's
Go
a good-
through
that's a good
go through Hank.
idea. Go through Hank.
Be like, your brother's not
Yeah, I don't
responding to me.
I mean,
Oh, okay.
I
So his
remember-
brother wrote what's
It's like the fan.
Oh, I love
Fantabulous or something like that. I forget what it's called.
No, it's I wanted to say extremely loud and incredibly close. That is not it.
It's
remarkable something.
Yeah,
or
it's like
other.
a purple and yellowish
He
cover.
has-
Yeah.
With the Carls. Oh God.
Yeah.
Beautiful. No, that's the next one. An absolutely
Remarkable thing.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Are they
I-
equally like great writers, or are they similar? Are they completely different in terms of their writing styles? Because I haven't read Hank Green either, so I
Hank
don't know.
Green's very weird, and I love it.
Okay. Interesting.
I know you weren't posing that question to me because you already know the answer is no. John Green is vastly superior. So.
I like Hank Green. I think he's
No, I
weird
don't
and
think
funny.
Hank Green's bad at all. I just love John. So it's like,
Well, here's hoping that you get to his people and he blurbs your
hope
book,
so.
because that would be amazing for you.
that would be.
And,
I mean,
considering how much you admire him.
in fact, I admire him so much, and it's kind of ties all in. I was scared to write Ever Variable of Us for a multitude of reasons. One, mainly, it was me coming to grips with my own sexuality and bringing that to light. But also, I just didn't think this story could be told in this climate. I was like, no one's gonna want to hear kids talk like us. They're not going to see someone like us in the page. They're gonna be offended by stuff that is said and words that are used, and it's not going to be able to do it. And then I was in Barnes and Nobles because I go there, once a week, and I read once, I think I heard an agent say this at like a conference. They're like, read 1,000 books in the genre you want to write. Like, know what works, what doesn't work. Just know that genre like the back of your hand. So then when you write, you'll know what to do and what not to do. So I go to the Barnes and Nobles, I'll just pick up random YA books just because I like the back, what it says, or I like the cover, and I'll just, let me check it out. So I went to Barnes and Nobles one day, I saw this book called The Hate You Give, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. But at the very bottom of the cover, it says, "Stunning" by John Green. So I saw him say that, I was like, I'm buying it now. So I bought it, and I read it, and I was like, oh, while this is different than the story I want to tell, it's still kind of in that same vein. So I want to, do something with that. And I love Angie Thomas so much. I love The Hate You Give. Something like Renee Watson's Piece of Me Together, I think it's called.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, Piece of Me Together. Renee Watson, she's amazing. There's so many amazing Black writers out there.
Yes.
Telling these YA stories. However, I found that when I read these books, The Hate You Give, Piece of Me Together, they take these Black characters that are great, like Star. I love Star, but you're taking them and you're putting them into the white schools, the suburban areas, and you're telling the story of how they're the fish out of water, how they have to react to that, which is a story that needs to be told, and it's an incredible and powerful thing to be told. I was one of those kids. My mom did whatever she had to do to get us out of that one-room apartment I was telling you about into a nice school, and she did a lot of things, neither here nor there we won't talk about. I won't throw her out there, but, she did what she had to do because she wanted to give us a better life. That's why I dedicate the book to her, because I know I've been that kid. In fact, you'll see with my work coming out, I really tap into my mom's life in one of my books I'm writing now, and she's gone through so much as this woman, and I saw what she went through to give us a better life, the things she sacrificed, the things she had to put up with, the men she had to put up with, just because that's the only way we're going to eat tonight, is if I kind of entertain this guy and like give him the time of day just so he thinks I'm into him. Play the game, whatever she had to do. And I say all that because I love those stories that Angie and them put out, but I saw that's great, but where's the story of the kids that don't get out, that don't get that better life, that don't get to go to that white school, or to that, it doesn't have to be white, just a better school in general. And I want to tell that story. So that's why it was really important for me to make Hargrove like a living, breathing thing, even though it's a fictional, based off of places I lived in West Philly and North.
Yeah.
So it was important for me for that to stay there, for the dialogue to stay there, for her to talk to her people throughout, you know what I mean? And yeah, she eventually talked to STEM people, but Britt's always there and her other friends, and she never loses who she is at heart. You know, that was important to me. Just to show the kids that are living there, they go like, hey, yeah, we're cool too. We can be a book. Like, why can't? What's wrong with being in West Philly? You know what I mean? Like, hey,
For sure.
I want to own that. So yeah, that's where I was going with that. That wasn't even a question. I don't even want to.
No, it's go. We love it.
Well,
But you also see the family. Sorry,
No,
also see
you go.
the family that gets created when you're living in a situation like Alexis, because you have to build some sort of family.
Right.
And family isn't always a mom and a dad, and family isn't even always a mom. Family can be, your girls. Your family can be, these kids in school. They can be anybody. And stories that focus on that, I think, are really important, because not everybody is blessed with like a family unit,
right.
or with the picture perfect cookie cutter or whatever. And even if you are, sometimes that family unit isn't what you actually need to succeed in your life. But there are people there, and utilizing the people around you, leaning on them.
I think a lot of people don't realize that. In fact, I had a couple things we're editing in the book, and I had a couple notes where like, oh, well, Alexis is, I feel like she wouldn't be able to function if she didn't have food or whatever, or how's she eating, I'm like, here's the thing. There are times where not times, we're talking like days in a row, where my mom's like, here's dinner. It's ramen noodles out of the microwave. You know what I mean? Like, and she always say, I'll doctor it up. And she'd like just put on a bunch of spices on it to try to make it different. There's a song by, I think it's Lucas Joyner, I think. It's called Ramen and OJ. It's all about how like I grew up on ramen and OJ. Like that was my dinner. You know what I mean? I don't ever want to go back to those days. I'm rich now. I'm a rapper.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing. I'm sure he said a lot more cool. But this was our life. A lot of times, my mom would do whatever she had to just put food on the table. Sometimes there wasn't food on the table.
Yeah.
And we had to deal with it. And
I think we forget about that in America, that there are plenty of people who don't have food 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And the food doesn't look like what you see on TV. A lot of
there's
people
a lot
are
of
just
kids
getting,
who only
they're
eat at
just,
school.
Right.
yeah, they're just getting, we're just getting through. They're going day to day to day. And we like to think
that's the
that
one
doesn't
thing with
exist.
Alexis, like that's why I kind of started the book with the way I did, because it's like I wanted people to know, like, oh no, this isn't the first time this has happened. Like she's this is what she does. This is what they do. This is how they survive.
This part of survival.
Right.
Yeah.
So when she got to the part when she gets to those really bad places, we know she'll be all right in that regard, because she's been there essentially, because her mom hasn't really been the world's greatest mom, we'll say. So
She's not earning that coffee mug.
no, she's not.
So no, we absolutely thank you for reaching out and having us read this, and
thank you for
being a part of everythfor
for taking me on and championing the book. I can't thank you guys enough. I know I've messaged you guys multiple times saying just that.
We
You don't want to
enjoy
hear it
those
no
We
more.
messages.
enjoy it.
But I'm really humbled and just so grateful that you guys were able to do the cover reveal and to read it and have me on to your
Yes.
show. It's amazing, you know, because not everyone did answer back. A lot of people like my queries to my agents and editors. Some just didn't even reply. Like, oh, no.
Mm, that's a shame.
So yeah,
I'm going to do the official ending, but when we say bye, don't hang
Don't
up
hang up.
okay,
because the video and the audio files have to finish
It does
processing.
something.
sure.
Yeah, so I'm going to do the official ending. All right, so thank you, Charles, for
Thank
coming on the
you.
show and sharing the story with us. Tell the people when the book is coming out and where they can find you online.
Sure. So thank you guys for having me again. And the book is Every Variable of Us, and it is coming out March 1st, 2022, just in time for March Madness. All the basketball people, get the book and get your basketball going. And you can find it anywhere books are sold. So you can go on Amazon and pre-order it now. You can go on Flux.com and pre-order it. North Star Editions, you can pre-order it there. Barnes and Nobles, pre-order it there. So wherever you want, just Google it and pre-order it like that. So that's the way you can do it. And you can find me on Instagram, Charles_A Bush. And hope to see you guys, you know, in the future at an event or something. Just come up and talk to me or DM me. Happy to talk to you guys.
Amazing. All right, this
Love
was a
it.
fun
This is
conversation.
fun.
This fun conversation. All right, so
Yeah.
I think that's going to do it for us. We're going to wrap it up and see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.